starting by showing Tobirama Senju a summary of Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyright or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26. Danzo. Hiruzen, you are shameless. The third Hokage saw that the Anbu had taken action but was not hurt. At the same time, he was very curious about the images and sounds on the light curtain. Then, he made the same decision as Tobirama in Konoha 37 years ago. The four of you go to guard the door. No one is allowed to come in without my order. Yes, Hokage-sama. The four Anbu were also very curious about the light curtain. However, the Hokage's order was absolute, and they did not dare to disobey that third Hokage's order. When the four people walked out of the room, the third Hokage happened to hear Lin Tian say that he was a little Kakashi. Suddenly, many question marks appeared in his head. This logic is a bit wrong. Kakashi is my junior, how can an elder act like a junior? This light curtain is really nonsense. Although he said so, the third Hokage still looked at the picture on the light curtain very seriously. From the strongest Hokage called the Doctor in the first book of Lin, and the ninja god in Orochimaru's mouth, to the explorer called Professor in Book of Shin. The B grade continues to decline with the update of the version. In addition, the image of the impure world reincarnation is not the controversy of his youth, which makes the third generation still a big star in the ninja world at an old age. Tobirama's office. Seeing the above words, everyone's expression is a bit complicated. Especially Danzo. This guy actually laughed out loud. Ha ha ha, it really made me laugh to death. The strongest Hokage and the god of ninja in the disciple's mouth, you're even deceiving yourself, ha ha ha. Shameless. Danzo's unscrupulous laughter made Sarutobi Hiruzen a little annoyed. Didn't you see? What Lin Tian said was the Book of Lin and the Book of Shin, which is obviously patching the settings behind. These words are definitely not what I said. Really? I don't believe it. Believe it or not. Everyone in Tobirama's office already knew that Naruto was just a work in that world. Since it is a work, there will naturally be negligence, omissions, and inconsiderate places. It is a very normal thing to release some setting collections to make up for the previous loopholes. Therefore, facing the two setting books, the Book of Advent and the Book of Formation, the people in Tobirama's office did not react much. Except for Danzo, who was laughing wildly. However, the third Hokage in the third Hokage's office was a little uncertain after seeing the two setting books. Fortunately, the first Hokage and Tobirama are no longer here, and Minato also sacrificed himself to seal the Nine Tails, so in reality I am the strongest Hokage. There is nothing wrong with that. But why do some of my situations appear in those two books? The third Hokage really wants to know the answer to this question, but the video on the screen will not stop because of his thinking. Before Naruto went to the rampage stage, it was not a problem for Hiruzen to get the title of the strongest among a group of knife-wielding ninja thugs. At the time, the members of the Yanbu under his command would brag that the Hokage-sama is really awesome. So whether in the comics or the official books, the third Hokage's early positioning was the strongest Hokage. What, I'm actually a character in a comic book? After seeing the comic book on the screen and the picture of his character in the official book, the mentality of the third Hokage exploded instantly. He couldn't figure it out. He could think independently and had his own ideas, so how could he be a character in a comic book? Fortunately, he was very old and had experienced a lot. He recovered after a little loss of composure. But his face was extremely ugly. Before the two brothers, Hashirama and Tobirama, were invincible, the battle between the Hokage of ancient and modern times was the match between the Hokage of ancient and modern times. As a senior Hokage, Hiruzen wanted to express the kind and charitable old Hokage of Konoha from the beginning, but because of the protagonist's early Diozi personality, and later turned over to become the prince, plus the turning point of the Uchiha incident, it was contrary to the original appearance. Translation. It is the unconscious creation of the author and the excavation of the audience that made Hiruzen be reinterpreted and given a new personality. Since Hiruzen is the Hokage, who served 2 terms for the longest time, has a lot of experience, and has more bucks, the focus is on the past and present of his battle with Orochimaru in the first part. Key characters: Hiruzen, Orochimaru. In the office of the third Hokage, his face was already ugly, and when he saw himself fighting with Orochimaru on the rooftop, with the first and second Hokage in front of him, his face became even uglier, just like when his eldest son died. If what this light curtain says is true, then Konoha will face Orochimaru's attack tomorrow. and I will have to face the first and second Hokage at the same time, as well as the traitor Orochimaru. Just thinking about it, the third Hokage couldn't help but tremble in his heart. The ninjas of this generation of Konoha don't know how powerful the first and second Hokage are, doesn't he know it? The only thing to be thankful for is that the first and second generations were resurrected by Orochimaru using the impure world reincarnation. In this state, their strength will be severely weakened. If Jiraiya and I fight together, we may be able to defeat the first and second generations. As for the character setting, he will never admit it. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage of Konoha, is definitely not a cartoon character. He is a living person. Compared with the third Hokage who is still struggling with his identity, Tobirama made an expression of sudden enlightenment after seeing these words. After the last inventory video was finished, he was thinking, why is Hiruzen so old and looks so old, but he still hasn't abdicated? After watching the video, I know that Hiruzen actually served as Hokage for 2 terms. In other words, before he took office for the second time, Konoha had a 4th Hokage. Perhaps it was because the 4th Hokage died young and Konoha didn't have any outstanding figures at the time, so Hiruzen continued to serve as Hokage. Tobirama thought it through very thoroughly. He didn't blame Hiruzen for his decision to become Hokage again. After all, he didn't know the situation at the time, whether it was during war or peacetime. Anyway, he felt that Hiruzen must have his reasons for coming back to be Hokage. But Danzo was different. He had always been eyeing the position of Hokage. Hiruzen was the first to say that he wanted to be the last one, and he had to admit that. But you have already gone down, and you still want to serve as Hokage for the second time, isn't that too much? What about me? What about me, Danzo Shimura? Could it be that I was also in trouble at the time? Hiruzen felt Danzo's resentment, which made him shake his head and smile bigly. The relationship that was finally eased now seems to be in vain. When Hiruzen was a ninja, the second generation Hokage took the class, and he was in the same class with Mitokado Onjite Tankahara, and debuted as the center. The form of 2 men and 1 woman in the same class left a foreshadowing for Hiruzen's future reforms, which will be discussed later. After becoming a guiding Jonin, Hiruzen brought Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and Tsunade. Seeing this, Senju Tobirama suddenly remembered that Orochimaru was a talent. He had been too busy recently and had forgotten about this person. In order to avoid making a mistake, he whispered to Sarutobi Hiruzen, is this Orochimaru really the student you accepted last year together with Tsunade and Jiraiya? Sarutobi Hiruzen sighed and replied, it should be him. Well, very good, take me to see him after watching the video. Oh no, could it be that teacher Tobirama wanted to kill Orochimaru in advance? Chapter 27 Hiruzen. Danzo, how dare you blaspheme the first generation? Of course, Tobirama would not kill Orochimaru in advance because of what happened decades later. He just admired Orochimaru more. The impure world reincarnation technique is not something that everyone can learn. He learned it, which shows that he has talent in forbidden techniques. Konoha is not something that everyone can break into. He joined forces with the Sand Village to break in, which shows that he has a good brain and can fool the Sand Village. In summary, he wanted to take Orochimaru with him and teach him well before he turned crooked. Sarutobi Hiruzen. Oh no, my students are going to be robbed. After becoming a guiding Jonin, Hiruzen brought Jiraiya, Orochimaru, and Tsunade. Among the 3, especially Orochimaru, whose parents had both passed away and who had no car or house, cried and screamed all day long, and showed amazing talent at the same time. This made Hiruzen think that the old genius should pay more attention to the young genius, and recognized Orochimaru as his godchild. These 3 students became the famous 3 ninjas in the future Second Ninja War. Hiruzen, is his talent really that strong? Can he let you recognize him as your godson? Hearing Tobirama's question, Hiruzen immediately replied, Orochimaru's talent is indeed very strong. Whether it is the shuriken throwing technique or some of the ninjutsu I taught, he can master it quickly. As for recognizing him as a godson, I don't have this idea. This should be Lin Tian's exaggerated words. Nodding, Tobirama didn't continue. They all knew the style of Lin Tian's videos. He could make fun of even the smallest things. It seemed that Hiruzen was more interested in Orochimaru among the 3 students, so he was teased as recognizing a godson. However, this time with the evidence of Hiruzen and Lin Tian, his interest in Orochimaru became stronger. At the same time, he also had a certain interest in Jiraiya. The 2 of them, together with Tsunade, achieved the title of the 3 ninjas in the Ninja War, and they were real talents of Konoha. At this time, Hiruzen also served as a bodyguard of the Hokage. The position of bodyguard is a Schrodinger's risk. The lesser ones are like Tobirama, who saved the Third Hokage and survived until Boruto and got promoted. The more impressive one is Hiruzen, who saved Tobirama and became the Third Hokage after returning to the village. This promotion speed is unparalleled. Sarutobi, Hiruzen and the Third Hokage decades later did not look very happy when they heard this. Especially the Third Hokage. Would Tobirama save me? What a mess. Yes, Tobirama was the bodyguard of the Fourth Hokage. When the Nine Tails invaded, he did not protect the Fourth Hokage well, which led to him using the Shikigami seal to seal the Nine Tails into Naruto's body, and he himself was harvested by the god of death and died. But the Third Hokage thought that this matter had little to do with Tobirama. That was the Nine Tails. Even the Third Hokage seemed so cautious when facing the Nine Tails, not to mention Tobirama, who was a special Chunin. This time, during the Chunin exam, Konoha needed people everywhere, so he remembered several guards of the Fourth Hokage and transferred them to his side to serve as his guards. According to Guangmu, he died because his guard was Hijirida. Well, when the exam starts tomorrow, I will transfer him to guard the gate with Kanzuki Ishimo and Gangzi Tatsu. Although the Third Hokage did not believe what Guangmu said. But what if? What if what Guangmu said was true? He thought it would be better to keep Hijirida away from him. He did not want to follow the old path of the Fourth Hokage. Konoha won the Three Ninja Wars, but it made concessions to make Iwagaku stop fighting. The content of the final terms is to recognize Iwagaku's activities and give up the right to compensation. At this time, Hiruzen had led Konoha for many years and was a senior executive at the same time. Danzo turned into a righteous partner and angrily scolded Hiruzen for being a coward who sacrificed his allies and subordinates in vain and won like a defeat. Hiruzen resigned under pressure from Danzo. Then in terms of the selection of the Fourth Hokage, the Sannin who had a master, seniority, and was old enough were undoubtedly the three ninjas, but at the time, only Orochimaru was in the village. So the only descendant who inherited the Hokage smoothly in age was Orochimaru. Hiruzen was in a headache. He didn't know why he had changed so much after decades. If it were him now, he would never compromise with Iwagaku. Danzo was very happy because Lin Tian said he was a partner of justice. Look at Hiruzen, the coward who won the war but gave up compensation, and the difference is obvious. He wanted to point at Tobirama's nose and yell, "Is this the Third Hokage you chose?" Of course, he could only think about it aside. He didn't have the courage to take action. But this didn't stop him from looking at Hiruzen with a look of arrogance. "Danzo, don't be too proud. Lin Tian said before that you are the dark and I'm the light. That was just a sacrifice for the overall interests of the village. Don't make yourself sound so great, or you'll get slapped in the face." Sarutobi Hiruzen knew exactly what kind of person Shigeru Danzo was. He was narrow-minded, had no tolerance, was very jealous, and had a dark mind. For such a person, you say he made sacrifices for the overall interests of the village. Don't be ridiculous, he only sacrifices others. Hiruzen, who had given up on reconciling with Danzo, was thinking very clearly at this moment. When he stepped out of the influence of friendship and looked at Danzo from the perspective of an outsider, he realized how stupid he was before, and actually became friends with him. "I, Shigeru Danzo, am upright and will never be slapped in the face." Danzo said that with a righteous tone, as if he was really a righteous person. Unfortunately, Lin Tian's next sentence slapped him in the face. Danzo had already hooked up with Orochimaru and got the wood escape black technology, and his path gradually became wild. "Danzo, you dare to blaspheme the first generation?" Hiruzen's expression was very angry. Not only him, but also that four people who had not spoken and just acted as background boards, Uchikagami, Okimichi Tofu, Mitokado Wong, and Jitate Kahara, also glared at Danzo. Everyone in the ninja world knows that wood release is the exclusive ninjutsu of the first generation. Danzo and that Orochimaru want to study wood release, and they will definitely do something to the first generation's body. This is absolutely not allowed by them. Impossible. I admire the first generation very much, how could I blaspheme him? Teacher, I'm innocent. Danzo tried his best to quibble, and then he looked at Tobirama nervously. He saw very clearly that as long as Tobirama teacher did not pursue it, the accusations of these people would be meaningless to him. Okay, don't argue for now, the light screen shows Danzo decades later, not him now. After saying that, he looked at Danzo and asked, "You should not have done anything to the first generation's body now." Danzo looked serious, and he almost swore to the sky. "No, sir, I didn't desecrate the corpse of the first generation. Well, that's good. With Tobirama's nod, Hiruzen and his men stopped their treason. This made Danzo breathe a sigh of relief. This person is definitely poisonous. He was the bodyguard of the 4th generation, and the 4th generation died. He was the bodyguard of the 3rd generation during the Chunin exam, and the 3rd generation died. He was the bodyguard of the 5th generation, and the 5th generation was almost killed by pain. This person is really poisonous. Chapter 28 Godfather Love Me Again Plan. Compared to the indignation of the people in Tobirama's office, the reaction of the 3rd Hokage seemed much calmer. Of course, he knew that Danzo and Orochimaru were together. He even knew about the wood release experiment. At the time, Konoha was very weak. Hatake Sumo's suicide gave the Sand Village an opportunity. They launched an attack on Konoha on the grounds that the 3rd Hokage was assassinated by Konoha. Not long after, Kamugaku, Iwagakure and Mist Village also declared war on Konoha. Konoha fought 1 against 4, and although it won the war, many people died. In this situation, Danzo wanted to study the cells of the 1st generation and replicate the wood release ninjutsu. In order to enhance Konoha's combat power, the 3rd Hokage turned a blind eye. It consumed a lot of manpower and material resources, but in the end, only Yamato was produced. Compared with the 1st generation, Yamato's wood release is the difference between earth and sky. The 1st generation used wood release to conquer the world, while Yamato used wood release to green the land. This sentence well illustrates the difference between the two in wood release ninjutsu. This level of wood release naturally could not satisfy the 3rd Hokage. However, the subsequent experiments did consume too much, and Konoha after the war could not withstand such consumption. After getting Yamato and transferring him to the Anbu directly under his command, he ordered Danzo to close the laboratory and seal all the data. I did nothing wrong. This is all for Konoha. The 3rd Hokage subconsciously argued, and then realized that he was the only one in the Hokage's office at this time, and he did not need to explain to anyone. Under the collusion of the two, Danzo strongly supported Orochimaru in the high-level meeting. It is not known whether Hiruzen did not want Orochimaru to be Hokage or did not want Danzo to have an easy life. He strongly supported his disciple Minato Namikaze to be the 4th Hokage. At this time, Minato was pulled out and used the exploits of the 3rd Ninja War to offset the disadvantages brought by the rookie. At the same time, Minato was indeed within the daimyo's acceptance range. With the daimyo's affirmation, the 4th Hokage was officially confirmed. Is the 4th Hokage called Minato Namikaze? Looking at the young man on the screen, Tobirama nodded. He was handsome and had a good look, quite like when he was young. I wonder how many military exploits he has made to offset his age disadvantage. Hiruzen seemed very satisfied with this disciple. Orochimaru was his disciple. Minato Namikaze was his disciple. No matter who became the 4th Hokage, he would feel very proud. By the way, is he Jiraiya's disciple or Tsunade's disciple? Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was lost in thought, did not see the envious and jealous look of Danzo next to him. But I believe that even if he saw it, he would not care at all. Hiruzen ignored him, but unexpectedly Danzo took the initiative to say, "No wonder Orochimaru will become a rebellious ninja in the future, it turns out that someone is unfair." Hearing Danzo's words, Hiruzen sneered and replied, "I don't know whether it is fair or not, I only know that someone will desecrate the corpse of the 1st generation decades later." "Dead monkey, you, also, I didn't let Orochimaru become Hokage, why are you so excited? Besides, isn't the 4th generation my disciple? It has nothing to do with you either." Danzo was choked by Hiruzen and couldn't speak, just pointed at him very angrily. Seeing this situation, Tobirama already understood that without the bond of friendship, Hiruzen probably wouldn't give face to Danzo in the future. As a junior, Namikaze Minato became Hokage, but as an elder, Snake Boy didn't even get a consultant. The main reason is that Hiruzen believes that Orochimaru doesn't understand the will of fire and disregards life. This was also passed on to Orochimaru by Danzo. Orochimaru felt deeply humiliated and wanted to get the approval of his godfather, so he started the plan of Godfather, Love Me Again, hoping to do something big to surprise everyone. Hearing this plan, Danzo was shocked and shouted, "Snake, don't be impulsive. Others want money for experiments, but you want your life." Danzo said so, but he also let Orochimaru do what he loved. Sure enough, the Snake Boy played too much and caught ninjas of various ranks in the village as guinea pigs. The intelligence collected by Hiruzen Zanbu also gradually pointed to Orochimaru. After getting the information, he took the Yambu to clean up the mess. Hiruzen is still strong and summons the psychic monkey demon, facing the unfilial son. Orochimaru shyly said to Hiruzen. "How can you lay hands on the godchild?" Then the devil sound pierced his ears, shattering the experimental materials and attacking the 3 generations. The 3rd generation, who had not lost any blood, slumped on the ground, with the word indulgent written in his eyes. Sarutobi Hiruzen glared at Hiruzen and cursed in his heart. Orochimaru understood the look in his godfather's eyes and ran away as fast as he could. In order to let his beloved disciple go, Hiruzen did a good job on the surface and sent the Anbu to chase Orochimaru in front of Danzo. Danzo called him an actor in his heart and had already sent people to help Orochimaru escape from the Land of Fire. In this way, Orochimaru was abandoned by his godfather for more than 10 years. Tobirama office. Everyone was stunned by the scene on the screen. Is Sarutobi Hiruzen so indecisive after he got old? And this guy Shimura Danzo is still secretly helping Orochimaru, who has become a rebellious ninja. What is he doing? Teacher, it seems that I am really not suitable to be a Hokage. Hiruzen sighed. The more he looked at this inventory, the more he felt that he was not good enough to be a Hokage. There are many excuses to explain the outrageous contract that did not require compensation. For example, Konoha was under too much pressure at the time, and urgently needed to free up manpower from the battle with Iwagaku. But this time, knowing that Orochimaru had made a mistake, he not only did not take action to clean up the mess, but let the other party go. Is he worthy at the residence of Konoha and the subordinates who supported him as Hokage? Don't worry, I'm not dead yet, you can still learn slowly. Uchiha Kagami and others looked at each other when they heard Tobirama say this. With his words, it was basically confirmed that Sarutobi Hiruzen would be the 3rd generation Hokage. Unless there is an accident like Hiruzen's death, when Tobirama completely retires due to old age, the position of Hokage will definitely be Hiruzen. This time Danzo was very honest and didn't say anything. In fact, his part on the light curtain was not clean. He secretly conducted wood escape experiments and helped the rebel ninja escape. Either of these 2 things is a very serious crime. In addition, he felt that his former friend Hiruzen's attitude towards him had changed, so he would not make trouble for himself. Hiruzen thought he was a failure as Hokage. The 3rd Hokage felt that he was very successful. The only black spot was probably that he let Orochimaru escape. I should have killed him with a stick at the beginning, so that he would not return to Konoha to make trouble secretly. After muttering fiercely, the 3rd Hokage frowned and saw the words "Godfather, love me again." Although he didn't know the specific meaning, judging from Orochimaru's character, he was most likely to take revenge on him. Revenge if you want, I won't be soft-hearted this time. Chapter 29 3 Unpopular Generations. In this way, Orochimaru was abandoned by his godfather for more than 10 years. Orochimaru, who became an orphan in the Middle Age, finally seized the opportunity of the joint tuning exam held by Konoha and Sand Village. So, the Konoha collapse plan was translated into "Godfather love me again, nothing wrong." Hiruzen had never expected that Orochimaru would dress up as the Hokage and sit next to him. What? Orochimaru dares to take action tomorrow? Looking at the picture on the screen, the 3rd Hokage couldn't believe his eyes. Tomorrow, many officials and nobles from his own country and foreign countries will come to watch the game. These people cannot have any casualties. At least nothing can happen in Konoha. In fact, the 3rd Hokage had a premonition before the video, but when he saw the picture with his own eyes, he was still very shocked. What he didn't expect was that Orochimaru would pretend to be the Hokage to sneak in. You know, this is the shadow of a village, the highest symbol of power in the village. Will the Hokage let Orochimaru pretend to be him so easily? The 3rd Hokage thought about it. If he was the Hokage, he would definitely not agree to let Orochimaru impersonate him. First, Orochimaru is a dangerous guy, and he is also a traitor of Konoha. Second, who knows what this guy will do after pretending to be him. If he does something bad, won't he be the one to take the blame? So the 3rd Hokage concluded that the 4th Hokage would never agree to Orochimaru impersonating him. So here comes the question. Since the 4th Hokage doesn't agree, why can Orochimaru still impersonate him? Could it be that the 3rd Hokage thought of a situation? If the 4th Hokage died, wouldn't Orochimaru be able to impersonate him without his consent? Orochimaru, I didn't expect you to play such a big game to kill me and to avenge Konoha. At this moment, the 3rd Hokage wanted to slap himself. He really should have listened to Saruman and killed Orochimaru with a stick. Once Orochimaru died, there wouldn't be so many troubles later. After the plan started, Orochimaru still made full use of a large number of Sound Ninja and Sand Ninja, catching Konoha off guard. Hiruzen was trapped on the roof by Orochimaru's subordinate using the 4 purple flame formation. In order not to sit and wait for death, Hiruzen used the tile shuriken attack on the roof. As a result, Orochimaru dodged it, and then faced another hidden shadow snake hand. However, Hiruzen used the earth substitute to fool Orochimaru, and then counter-attacked with a combination of Earth Flow River, Earth, and Fire Dragon Bullet. Orochimaru dodged without injury, claiming that he wanted to show his godfather his growth, and then showed the results of his research and lifted the coffins of the first and second generations of Hokage. Tobirama's office. Tobirama, Hiruzen, and Danzo had already seen this part of the plot when they reviewed the second generation of Hokage in the last issue. Watching it again at this time, Tobirama suddenly had a question. Monkey, do you think the 4 purple flame formation can stop the ninjas in the village? The 4 purple flame formation is a weakened version of the 4 red yang formation. In terms of strength, the latter is dozens of times stronger than the former, and is a powerful formation that can trap the tailed beasts. As a weakened version of the latter, the 4 purple flame formation is also quite strong. To say that it can stop so many ninjas in Konoha is nonsense. Even if 1 or 2 ninjutsu cannot break the 4 purple flame formation, can't it be done a few more times? Maintaining this formation consumes a lot of chakra. Teacher, the 4 purple flame formation naturally can't stop the ninjas in the village. Then why didn't anyone come to save you? This Hiruzen was very uncomfortable. How could he know what would happen decades later? Besides, he is not Hokage yet, and even if he wants to think with the thinking of a Hokage, he can't do it. Seeing Hiruzen's embarrassed expression, Tobirama didn't ask any more questions. Danzo took the opportunity to say, he must have been unpopular during his reign, so no one came to save him. Tobirama glanced at Danzo and gave an ambiguous answer. Maybe. Hearing this, Danzo immediately revived and said to Hiruzen, did you hear that? Even Tobirama-sensei agrees with my judgment. Tobirama hesitated, wanting to say that he didn't mean that. But thinking that he had dealt too much of a blow to Danzo today, he didn't open his mouth to explain. No matter how unpopular I am, it's me who sits in the position of Hokage, not you. Killing people and destroying their hearts. Hiruzen's words choked Danzo again and made him speechless. Uchiha Kagami and the other 4 looked at the fast between the two and shook their heads one after another, and had no intention of intervening in the dispute between the two. The office of the Third Hokage. Looking at the screen, he was trapped in the 4 purple flame formation, and no one came to save him, and the Third Hokage couldn't help but sigh. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who hadn't become Hokage yet, knew that the strength of the 4 purple flame formation could not withstand the destruction of Konoha ninjas, so how could he not know? It seems that I have let them down. Orochimaru overturned the coffins of the first and second Hokage. The Third Hokage was then beaten up by his former apprentices and 2 teachers. The Hashirama brothers rushed to attack Hiruzen, who fought back strongly. A fire dragon fireball was fired to thank Tobirama for his teaching. Tobirama used a water formation wall, which surged up like a wave of water to prevent fire, and at the same time, he opened a mouthful of water rushing waves, sweeping Hiruzen. Hiruzen used the earth flow wall to build a mountain to block it, but was beaten by Hashirama and dragged into the water by Tobirama. After several twists and turns, he retreated to the ground. At this time, Hashirama used the wood release tree wall to create a forest to trap Hiruzen. Hiruzen summoned the monkey demon, who looked at Orochimaru and directly mocked Hiruzen, what happened in the past, what happened today. However, it was still the embodiment of Tsunade. The big ice stick of Castellan cut down the trees and helped Hiruzen escape. Orochimaru wanted to show off his wealth, and spit out a big sword from his mouth to kill. Hiruzen's stick skills were as fast as the wind, and the Snake Boy's sword skills were no match for him, so he could only order the brothers to attack Hiruzen frequently. Hiruzen's clone put detonating talismans on the two, but was kicked away. Sarume saw that something was wrong and reached out to strangle Orochimaru. Orochimaru turned into mud to avoid it, and Hiruzen took the opportunity to blow up the brothers. However, the flesh of the impure world can be repaired, and Orochimaru began to proudly mock the ninja god of the past, who was now old. Hearing the 4 words ninja god, Tobirama frowned subconsciously, and then he remembered. The ninja god mentioned by Orochimaru was Sarutobi Hiruzen. He turned his head to look at Hiruzen, but he didn't expect Hiruzen to look at him at the same time. But Hiruzen looked helpless. He really didn't think about being a ninja god. Every time Lin Tian mentioned it in the video, he would be embarrassed. After all, the person sitting next to him is the younger brother of the true ninja god. Hiruzen, I can't believe that you are so old, but you can still fight with the first generation and Tobirama sensei. The three of Tobirama had seen this battle, but the four of Uchiha Kagami had not. When they saw Sarutobi Hiruzen fiercely fighting against three people on the screen, they suddenly felt very incredible. Hiruzen still seemed a little embarrassed to be praised by Uchiha Kagami. Ahem. The first generation and the teacher are in pure world body, and their strength will be greatly weakened in this state. That's also very impressive. Thank you. Let's continue watching the light curtain. In fact, every time I finish writing a chapter, I read it once to correct the typos. But sometimes there will be omissions. I hope everyone will understand equals. Equals if there are typos, please point them out, and I will correct them immediately when I see them. Chapter 30. Hiruzen. Danzo, you make me sick. After a wave of taunting, Orochimaru tore off his face and revealed his true face, claiming to have occupied the body of a female ninja. The next container will be Sasuke. Hiruzen was shocked for a whole year and thought to himself, the woman in front of him is not an ordinary woman, he is a hermaphrodite. It seems that his experiment was successful. The third Hokage looked at Orochimaru, who had turned into a woman on the light screen, and couldn't help but sigh again. He always knew that Orochimaru wanted to live forever and wanted to live longer. For this reason, Orochimaru did many taboo experiments at all costs. When he was in Konoha, the third Hokage was there staring at him from time to time, which made his experiment progress slowly. Look, once he left Konoha, his experiment was successful in a few years. Using the power of the soul to occupy other people's bodies, Orochimaru, you are really becoming more and more evil. Thinking that Orochimaru had set his sights on Uchiha Sasuke this time, the third Hokage secretly made up his mind that Sasuke must not be in trouble tomorrow. Otherwise, his psychopathic brother might go completely crazy. It was enough to have Orochimaru eyeing Konoha from the sidelines, and with the addition of Uchiha Itachi, Konoha would not be in a good situation now. Compared to the third Hokage thinking about Sasuke and Itachi, the faces of the people in Tobirama's office were much more interesting. They could never have imagined that Orochimaru would actually turn into a woman. This forbidden technique is very evil. Devouring the opponent's soul and occupying the opponent's body, even Tobirama couldn't help but complain about this forbidden technique. He was also a person with no taboos, otherwise he wouldn't have developed so many forbidden techniques. Do you really think that the research of forbidden techniques is simple? It also requires a lot of manpower, material resources and lives. Hiruzen, you're Orochimaru's teacher. Why do you think he wants to occupy someone else's body? Hiruzen thought for a moment and replied, he probably wants to live forever. Tell me more. Yes, Tobirama-sensei. Hiruzen organized his words a little bit before saying, Orochimaru's parents died in World War I, and because he witnessed the deaths of too many people and knew the fragility of life, he has been thinking about the meaning of life. Is that why he wanted to live forever? Yes, he told me that he believes that the human body contains power that cannot be used in a lifetime, so he wants to live forever so that he can learn all ninjutsu and master the truth of the world. Is that so? Tobirama nodded. It's good to have ideals. He thought that Orochimaru, decades later, would be the kind of person without dreams who only wanted to live forever but didn't know why he wanted to live forever. Although the dream of mastering the truth of the world is nonsense, it is also a serious dream. Working hard for his dream, Tobirama recognized his idea of wanting to live forever. Speaking of immortality, who in this world doesn't want to live forever? At least Tobirama wanted to live forever. He wanted to spend more time to find a way to bring peace to the ninja world. However, occupying someone else's body was indeed too immoral. And from his point of view, the forbidden technique of occupying someone else's body must have huge side effects. Considering the compatibility between the body and the soul, the side effects will mostly appear on the soul. In the field of soul, Tobirama is an expert. The impure world reincarnation technique is to summon the soul of a long-dead ninja back to the world and revive it in the form of a physical body. It is called resurrection, but in fact it is just using the body of a living person as a container. Moreover, as time goes by, the soul of the resurrected person will become weaker and weaker, so that he can no longer maintain this technique and return to the underworld to recuperate. So in Tobirama's view, Orochimaru's forbidden technique will definitely hurt his own soul. In order to eliminate this side effect, the only way is to completely solve the compatibility problem between the body and the soul. It's not easy to do this. Why not wait until this video is over and ask Lin Tian? On the light screen, the third generation Hokage was still fighting with the first and second generation Hokage, and Lin Tian's words were also very appropriate to sound again. At this time, Hashirama used wood released to trap Hiruzen again, and the Saruman transformed into a vata prism wall to block it. Tobirama used another illusion, darkness walking technique, which blocked Hiruzen's vision. After all, at the age of 69, Hiruzen's body was getting worse day by day. He could only make up his mind and sacrifice his life to use the forbidden technique, Shikifujin. The two shadow clones sealed the Hashirama brothers, and the main body sealed Orochimaru. Orochimaru, who was trying to show off, saw that Hiruzen was angry, and he also got angry. He raised his index and middle fingers slightly, and then he controlled the big sword to severely injure Hiruzen. Hiruzen was in pain and was no longer able to drain Orochimaru's soul, but he was determined to take away all the techniques of Orochimaru, who loved to study ninjutsu, and he used Shikifujin to cut off Orochimaru's hands with difficulty. In the end, Hiruzen firmly believed that Konoha and the Will of Fire would never cease. Before he died, he smiled and forgave his son. An unparalleled war in history, the human tragedy of the third generation who wanted to beat his godson even if he died, came to an end. So this is how I died. Looking at the screen with his hands smiling as he took away Orochimaru, the third generation Hokage had a complicated expression. Before the beginning of the video, he didn't believe what was said on the screen. It wasn't until he saw himself die that he believed it completely. Because if he really faced the situation on the screen, he would really make the same choice. He couldn't do otherwise. There was no rescue outside the four purple flame formation, and he would be beaten by the first, second and big Orochimaru inside. In addition, this traitor wanted to get Sasuke, so in order to prevent Itachi from going crazy, it was the best choice to die with Orochimaru. In summary, in the early stage of the work, the protagonist was still a tail-end sympathizer, and the third generation was the goal he fought for and surpassed. He was also an old man who had no heirs, cared about everyone in the village, and was very soft-hearted. Well, praise the Will of Fire, and that's it. Okay, the above is the good side of the good old man Sarutobi Hiruzen, and now we will talk about his bad side. Since the Shippuden, Hiruzen has gradually changed into the shape of Danzo. Huh. What kind of lewd words are these? What do you mean by changed into my shape? Originally, Danzo was very happy when he saw that the bad side of Hiruzen was going to be mentioned next. As a result, in the second sentence, he saw that Hiruzen changed into his shape. If Hiruzen was a delicate beauty, it would be fine, and Danzo would not mind that the other party changed into his shape. But Sarutobi Hiruzen is a strong and powerful man, which is unbearable for Danzo. Monkey, you and Danzo? Tobirama was also a little bit unbearable. In the past, he just thought that Hiruzen's feelings for Danzo are just pure friendship. Even though Hiruzen was particularly tolerant of Danzo, he did not think in that direction. Now when he heard Lin Tian say this, he suddenly realized that Hiruzen had such feelings for Danzo. However, as the teacher of the two, he would not interfere in the private emotional problems of his disciples. He seemed to have to reconsider the candidate for Hokage. Impossible, that Brad Lin Tian is definitely talking nonsense. Hiruzen stood up and looked very excited. No wonder he was excited. If this matter got out, would he still get married? For the sake of his wife, he could only cut off his relationship with Danzo. Danzo, you make me sick. Danzo. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 31. Uchiha Madara is not dead. Disgusting your brother-in-law. Danzo felt that he had been wronged. He obviously had no orientation in that aspect, but Hiruzen said this as if he was forced by himself. With Hiruzen's strength, could he force the other party? No. He could not force Hiruzen at all. It was really abominable. He was almost tripped by the other party. Hiruzen, stay away from me in the future. I will also be very disgusted with you. Okay, it's better for everyone to keep a little distance in the future. Hiruzen agreed to Danzo's proposal. He didn't want to go on with Danzo in the first place, and this complete breakup was his wish. Why are you so far away? In order to show his determination, Hiruzen was about to move a chair to stay away from Danzo, but at this time he found that Uchiha Kagami and other four friends had moved the chair 2 meters behind him. The actions of the four friends made Hiruzen speechless. Hiruzen, don't think too much. I just feel that I'm too close to the light curtain and will become nearsighted. My Okia, you're an Uchiha with 3 Makatama, would you care about this distance? Yeah, Hiruzen, you know my eyes have never been very good, otherwise I wouldn't wear glasses. Mito Kadawon also spoke up, supporting what Uchiha Kagome said. Tofu, Kahara, is this also the reason for you too? Seeing that Hiruzen's face was a little gloomy, Utate Kahara didn't want to anger him, so she changed her excuse. I just feel that it's a bit crowded for everyone to sit side by side. Let's move back a little and there will be more space. Hiruzen nodded, and he agreed with Kahara's words. Then he turned his eyes to Akimichi Tofu, wanting to hear what kind of reason this fat guy could come up with. Noticing that Hiruzen's eyes were looking at him, Akimichi Tofu did not speak immediately, but took out a bag of potato chips from his ninja tool bag. As a member of the Akimichi clan, it is reasonable for me to carry potato chips with me, right? Hiruzen. Yes, it is reasonable. Tofu. Then you should know that eating potato chips will make a very crisp sound. I don't want to affect you, Danzo and the teacher from watching the light screen. You have to understand my good intentions. Okay. Hiruzen was helpless. What the four friends said was reasonable. He had no reason to get angry even if he wanted to. Sitting down again, Hiruzen became more and more angry. He decided to beat Danzo up on a dark and windy night, otherwise it would be difficult to relieve his hatred. Speaking of teachers, and although he is a good old man, and he is strategic and skillful, he is also that village chief. But after Danzo was introduced to Shippuden, Hiruzen's character changed from Konoha's elderly idol who cares for orphans to being forcibly tied to Danzo. Then following the previous foreshadowing, after Hiruzen became the third Hokage, because he had brought out the three ninjas, and the three ninjas were configured with 2 men and 1 woman, he believed that male ninjas would improve each other under the influence of female ninjas. The Genin class was reformed, and efforts were made to implement the policy of 2 boys and 1 girl in a class. Of course, if there were not enough girls, that was another matter. He thought that such a future Genin class could grow up to be like the Sannin, and it would be great to create love opportunities for underage ninjas who have fought all day long. Uchiha Madara thanked Hiruzen with tears in his eyes for sending Obito, the best actor. Seeing this, Tobirama and his 6 students stood up in unison. Teacher, Uchiha Madara. Isn't he dead? Lin Tian's words brought them a huge shock. If they understood correctly, it was because the third Hokage reformed the Genin class, so a ninja named Obito was sent to Uchiha Madara. In other words, Uchiha Madara was not dead when the third Hokage reformed it. Impossible, I personally collected the body of Uchiha Madara, he can't still be alive. Tobirama looked at the class on the light screen, frowned, and felt particularly tricky. Jin, do you think you Uchiha have any secrets to fake your death and hide it from me? Uchiha Jin thought hard, and then replied. Sorry, teacher, I don't know. Then look for information when you go back tonight. I also want to go to Madara's grave. Uchiha Madara is a legendary ninja who is as famous as Senju Hashirama. Tobirama dare not bury his body randomly. No one except him knows where Madara is buried. Whether Madara is dead or not, we will know after I open the coffin. The office of the third Hokage. When he saw Uchiha Madara on the screen, the third Hokage was also very surprised. But he was only surprised for Madara. Calculating the time, even if Uchiha Madara was not dead at the time, he should be dead now. He was most surprised to see Obito's name. In his impression, this sunny boy, like his partner Uchiha Jin, has noble qualities and does not look like a member of Uchiha at all. That is to say, Obito did not die at the Canopy Bridge, but was rescued by Uchiha Madara. Since he is not dead, why doesn't he return to Konoha? The third Hokage was a little confused. Konoha has the Uchiha clan that gave birth to him and raised him, but of course they are gone now. In addition to the Uchiha clan, there is also his best friend, Hatake Kakashi. In addition, his teacher at the time was the 4th Hokage Minato named Kase, so there was no reason for Obito not to return to Konoha. So, should I tell Kakashi about this news? I'm sure he will be very happy after learning that Obito is not dead, and he will trust me more. The death of Hatake Sakuma was a huge blow to the young Kakashi. He spent a lot of means and time to make Kakashi return to his usual self. But he also knew that there was an unspeakable gap between him and Kakashi. The main reason why he still obeyed him was because he was the Hokage. As a ninja, obeying the orders of superiors is his duty. If he was in danger, Kakashi would definitely risk his life to save him. But Kakashi had to be open with him and trust him 100%, because Sakuma's death was basically impossible. At this moment, he had decided that as long as he didn't die tomorrow, he would tell Kakashi the news that Obito didn't die that year. If Kakashi didn't believe it, he could wait for the light curtain to appear and bring him to watch together. As the most outstanding figure of the younger generation of Konoha, Kakashi deserves such treatment. As for whether Obito is still here now, it's not his concern. During the Ninja War, Hiruzen plagiarized Tsunade's ideas and implemented the policy of equipping the team with medical soldiers, which greatly reduced the mortality rate. After the 3 Ninja Wars, Konoha won the Iwagaku with difficulty, but Hiruzen resigned. At this time, the plot uses Orochimaru's mouth, and Black Hiruzen wants to support Minato as a puppet Hokage. Third Hokage. Orochimaru slandered me, he is slandering me, is there anyone to take care of it? 05205. Modify the timeline of Tobirama in Chapter 25. The end of World War I should be in the 21st year of Konoha, but I wrote that the end of World War II was in the 37th year of Konoha. It's just a change of time, it won't affect the follow-up. Chapter 32 Nine-Tailed Rebellion Gift Pack. The Third Hokage was furious and helpless here. Sarutobi Hiruzen in Tobirama's office also felt very embarrassed. He didn't expect that decades later, he would not only be soft-hearted, but also so power-hungry. The village had already elected the 4th Hokage, but he still held on to power. But then again, being able to use the Hokage as a puppet, he was considered to have done something more powerful than the 1st and 2nd Hokage. Sighing, Hiruzen collected his thoughts and continued to look at the light screen. If it was the first part of Naruto, Orochimaru's words would be unconvincing. However, as the background of the Snape Boy gradually became richer, he also shed blood for Konoha on the battlefield as a Sannin, made contributions to scientific research, and was a hero unit before leaving the village. So, because of the time span, Orochimaru and Sarutobi Hiruzen strangely appeared in a situation of one rising and the other falling. From the evil snake in the first part, he met the kind old Hiruzen. In Shippuden, it became the scientific research Orochimaru who met the black-bellied 3rd generation. What's too hasty is that Orochimaru finally returned to Konoha to continue to devote himself, which is outrageous. Third Hokage. Will Orochimaru return to Konoha in the future? Among the 3 disciples, the 3rd Hokage valued Orochimaru the most. Seeing that Orochimaru had strayed into the evil path, he was heartbroken and repeatedly stated that he wanted to kill him. Now that he knew that Orochimaru would return to Konoha in the future, he was ecstatic again. He knew the talent of this disciple very well. With the return of Orochimaru, Konoha's strength will surely increase in the future. So he is now entangled. Tomorrow, should he kill Orochimaru to make up for the mistake of letting him run away before? Or should he let him go and leave some foundation for Konoha in the future? Well, we can only take it one step at a time. Tobirama's office. Seeing that Orochimaru would return to Konoha, Tobirama was very pleased. As a fellow scientific researcher, he admired Orochimaru very much. Although he didn't say anything, he still felt a little uncomfortable with the other party's identity as a traitor. It's inevitable for young people to make mistakes, but if they can stop before it's too late, there is still hope. He didn't want to send people to monitor Orochimaru 24 hours a day, lest he cultivate a monster for Konoha and then run away. After learning that the other party would return to Konoha later, it showed that Orochimaru was not born evil. As long as he was properly educated, he didn't need to be monitored at all. Soon, the educational results of Hiruzen's 2 men and 1 woman were also accepted, and Obito sent Konoha a gift package for the Nine-Tailed Rebellion. The gift package was full of boxed lunches, and the 4th Hokage received one and died on the spot. the 3rd Hokage slammed the table in anger. At this time, he looked at the masked man on the light screen and gritted his teeth, very angry. Well, I was thinking of asking Kakashi to find you back to the village, but I didn't expect you to be the masked man who killed the 4th Hokage. The 3rd Hokage no longer wanted Kakashi to find Obito. He now has only one idea, that is to kill Obito to commemorate those who died that year. Especially the 4th Hokage and his wife. Little beast, what did the 4th Hokage and his wife do to you that caused you to release the 9 tails when Kushina gave birth to a child? The 3rd Hokage really didn't expect it. Why did the cheerful, smiling, sunny, and helpful Uchiha Obito become like this? Could it be Uchiha Madara? After thinking about it, the 3rd Hokage thought that this was the only reason. Obito must have been bewitched by Uchiha Madara, so he hated Konoha and killed the 4th Hokage and his wife. But this is not a reason for Obito to be forgiven. I will definitely find out where you are and avenge those who died in that disaster. Tobirama's office. Because they don't know who Obito is and what happened to him. Tobirama and others didn't have any special feelings when they saw this. They just felt that Konoha after decades was a big disaster ridden. Not only did they experience 2 more ninja wars, but the 4th Hokage was also killed by the 9 tails in the village, and the 3rd Hokage also died at the hands of Orochimaru during the Chunin exam. After all, the village is still not strong enough. Tobirama sighed. If the village was strong enough, would the 9 tails be a problem? Not to mention that his elder brother Senju Hashirama could control the 9 tails at will. Even he, Senju Tobirama, could suppress the 9 tails in a short period of time, and with the help of the sealing class, it was not a problem to deal with the 9 tails. In that case, the 4th Hokage's strength seems to be a bit weak. After saying this, Tobirama subconsciously glanced at Hiruzen, as if to say, is this the 4th Hokage you will choose in the future? Fortunately, he was not ignorant, and knew that Hiruzen at this time was not even the 3rd Hokage, let alone the 4th Hokage. As for Obito, since he was able to release and control the 9 tails, he was naturally a member of the Uchiha clan. Thinking of this, Tobirama sighed again. The people of the Uchiha clan are really hard to deal with. You use him, their mental state is not stable, if not careful, something bad will happen. You don't use him, their strength is so strong, it would be a waste if you don't use him. Fortunately, there is no extremely dangerous person like Obito in the current Uchiha. Let Hiruzen handle the future. I believe he can handle it well after seeing the light curtain. Tobirama thought so. Hiruzen felt a chill in the depths of his soul, which made him shudder. After the death of the 4th generation, when discussing the 5th generation candidate at the high-level meeting, Shikaku proposed to choose from Kakashi's generation. The 2 consultants, Uchiha and Mitokado Wong, think that Shikaku, whose IQ is as high as 250, is really 250. Uchiha and Mitokado Wong. Heck, as we finally showed up. Seeing the tense atmosphere, Hiruzen waved his hand, tilted his mouth and said in a deep voice, "Don't argue over the position of Hokage. I'll work harder and work for another 100 years. It's quite appropriate for Hiruzen to come back, after all, he is familiar with it." Unfortunately, when choosing the 4th generation, Orochimaru was pissed off and this time he completely offended his childhood friend Danzo. Danzo glanced at Hiruzen and snorted coldly. Hiruzen ignored him and simply ignored him. So, after the Snake Boy, Danzo used Danzo's mouth to criticize Hiruzen, saying that he came back for power. So the conspiracy flow of the audience gentlemen can only be for fun. If you really want to discredit Hiruzen, you have to watch Shippuden. Coupled with the added drama of Obito, Itachi, Fuku, Shisui, and Danzo, Hiruzen's second half of life began to be outrageous. During the 9 Tails Rebellion, Hiruzen listened to Danzo and joined the top leaders to isolate Uchiha. Uchiha Kagami's mouth moved, but he didn't say anything in the end. Okimichi Tofu patted his shoulder to comfort him. Uchiha Kagami shook his head in response, saying that he was fine. He has always known the situation of the Uchiha clan. He originally thought that with his existence, the Uchiha clan would have an easier time in the future. Now it seems that Hiruzen and Danzo will not treat the Uchiha clan well for his sake. What will still happen. The ambitious Fuku is not a pushover either. He took advantage of the situation and started to rebel. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. Danzo said in a cold voice, "Teacher, you are too kind to the Uchiha clan. They don't deserve to live in Konoha at all." At this point, Danzo remembered that there was an Uchiha in the office. He quickly turned around and said to Uchiha Kagami, "Kagami, I'm not targeting you." Kagami nodded expressionlessly and said, "I know." He knew that Danzo was indeed not targeting him, because this guy was targeting the entire Uchiha clan. Fuku. Whether Konoha is in chaos or not, I, the Uchiha clan, have the final say. Chapter 33 Uchiha's traitor. Uchiha Fuku wanted to rebel, but Hiruzen certainly would not let him do so and would definitely take countermeasures. His method was also very simple, which was to plant spies in the Uchiha clan. He searched left and right and found Uchiha Shisui's little fan, that is, Fuku's son, Uchiha Itachi. One day, Hiruzen found Itachi, touched his head, and praised him. "You have the thinking of a Hokage." After that, the newcomer Itachi began to serve the Konoha high-level officials and delivered intelligence to them, even leaving his family behind. When the situation was critical, Hiruzen touched Shisui's head again and said, "I will try my best to stop Uchiha." As a result, Shisui only waited for a beating from Danzo. After being beaten, he did not dare to complain to Hiruzen, but complained to Uchiha Itachi. Hiruzen basically solved the Uchiha incident with his mouth. Counting the first part, because Naruto used the 9 tails to defeat Neji, everyone forgot the Hyuga branch family incident in a happy mood. It can be said that Hiruzen has caused Konoha to fail many times in the second half of his life. The third Hokage looked very pleased when he saw this. He settled the Uchiha rebellion with just his words, and also wiped out the other clan, so that the Uchiha would never be a problem for Konoha again. As for the Hyuga branch family incident, the third Hokage was also very satisfied with his operation that year. He only paid a person from the Hyuga branch family, even if this person was the head of the Hyuga branch family, the younger brother of the head of the main family. He felt it was worth it. After all, he did this to protect the head of the Hyuga main family and not give Kamugaku an excuse to declare war on Konoha. At the same time, he could also take advantage of the situation to give the Hyuga family a beating, so that they would be more obedient and not learn from the Uchiha and think about things. As for the overturn mentioned on the light curtain, the third Hokage would never admit it. Even if Konoha overturned in the end, it was definitely not his fault. Yes, it was all Danzo's fault. In Tobirama's office, ever since Danzo said Uchiha is not worthy of living in Konoha, his face has not been very good. When he saw the two family traitors appearing on the light curtain, his face became even worse. It was not because of the two family traitors, but because he realized that the Uchiha clan must have had a harder time than now. Otherwise, feud could not have had the idea of rebellion. He knew very well that what the Uchiha clan wanted was actually very simple, that is, they wanted the village to treat everyone equally. The lives the Uchiha clan, paid on the battlefield were no less than those of other ninja clans, so why should they be treated differently? Uchiha Kagami also understood what Tobirama said. Because of the Sharingan, the people of their clan were not mentally stable. It was impossible to treat everyone equally, but it couldn't be too much. We are all a part of Konoha. Does the village still want to kill everyone? Kami, I'm sorry. The young Hiruzen was still very responsible. He turned around and came to Kiji and whispered an apology. Facing Hiruzen's apology, Kiji replied lightly, "You didn't do anything wrong, so you don't have to apologize." But, seeing that Hiruzen wanted to say something, Kiji raised his hand to stop him and said, "No buts. Do you think that after we have the light curtain, the village will still develop according to the so-called plot?" Yes. With the existence of the light curtain, they can know in advance some major events discovered by ninjas in the next few decades. Even the secret that Uchiha Madara may still be alive can be known. Then, the village will definitely not develop according to the plot of the work. And he will not become the third generation Hokage who looks positive but is actually insidious on the light curtain. I understand. Hiruzen nodded to Kiji and sat back in his seat. Tobirama admired Hiruzen's behavior and nodded with satisfaction. This is the third generation Hokage he wanted. He cherishes his companions and is responsible. Unlike the old man in the light curtain, what the hell is this? Konoha, the largest ninja village, was almost ruined by him. If they hadn't won the Second and Third Ninja World Wars, Tobirama would definitely have called them idiots. Reviewing the situation, in the Third Ninja War, Hiruzen led Konoha to defeat Iwagaku, but he didn't dare to ask for compensation, and lost a lot of allies. In the Hyuga incident, because he didn't dare to offend Kamugaku, he sacrificed the head of the branch family and lost the trust of the Hyuga branch family. In the Uchiha incident, not to mention the entire Uchiha, at least the two most powerful mainstream Sharingan forces, Shisui and Itachi, who were loyal to Konoha, were gone. Mainstream. Two pairs. What the hell is he doing? At this moment, Tobirama, who thought that the third generation Hokage after decades was not too stupid, couldn't help but curse out loud. These are two pairs of mainstream Sharingan. Tobirama, who came from the Warring States period, knows very well what the mainstream Sharingan represents. This is the highest achievement of the Uchiha clan's bloodline limit, not counting the Eternal Eye, the ultimate eye that can use powerful ninjutsu such as Susanoo. Even under Tobirama's rule, none of the Uchiha could awaken the mainstream. Uchiha Kagami only hit 3 Magatama. If he had 2 pairs of mainstream Sharingan, the peace agreement he signed with the Hidden Cloud Village would definitely not only include compensation that would cause Kamugaku to suffer serious damage. At the very least, it would have to seriously injure Kamugaku. The deterrent power of 2 pairs of mainstream is just that strong. Tobirama in Konoha's 21st year was very angry at the operation of the Third Hokage. The Third Hokage in Konoha's 61st year also had a bitter smile at this time. As a student of Tobirama, he naturally knew what 2 pairs of mainstream meant. But he was also tricked by Danzo. He had comforted Shisui well, and as long as Shisui existed, the Uchiha would never rebel. Even if there was a rebellion, Shisui would use his own strength to suppress those who turned the tables. As a result, Danzo, this jerk, attacked Shisui without consulting him, which led to Shisui's suicide and Uchiha Itachi awakening his Mangekyou. This incident also thoroughly stimulated the Uchiha, and made them more determined to rebel. It's not that children are easy to fool. If it weren't for Itachi, this traitor, he really wouldn't have been able to attack Uchiha so quickly. After all, the Uchiha are still very strong, and the village will suffer heavy losses in a war with them. Fortunately, Itachi was there. With the cooperation of Danzo and him, except for his brother, Itachi slaughtered the entire Uchiha clan, even his parents. The village dealt with the Uchiha clan without any losses, which is really cause for celebration. Originally, Danzo's function was to use the glory of hard work to make Hiruzen less conspicuous. Danzo. As a result, in order to shape Danzo, he was forced to bind Hiruzen. At the moment of his death, he made a scene. You are the Konoha bathed in the sun, and I am the root buried deep underground. No wonder Lin Tian said that Hiruzen and Danzo are the light and the dark, it turns out that the root is here. Looking at Hiruzen and Danzo, Tobirama shook his head. These two people now can't become the light and the dark of Konoha. After watching the videos of the previous episode and this episode, it would be a good thing if the two of them don't fight in the future. However, after the four Uchiha looked at each other, they pulled their chairs back a little to avoid getting stained with anything dirty. Chapter 34. The third infantry is completed. What are the new functions of the light curtain? I say, do you have to be so exaggerated? The four friends once again moved away from his position of Danzo, which made Hiruzen feel a little helpless. Danzo snorted coldly and didn't say anything, but from his appearance, he was also quite dissatisfied with the four people. Don't mind, we just don't want to disturb you from watching the light curtain. Kofun laughed and took out a few bags of potato chips from the ninja tool bag and handed them to Jin, Xiaochen and Yan respectively. Hey, okay. Kofun said so. What else could Hiruzen say? He could only turn his head helplessly to look at the light curtain. The third generation who tried hard to maintain his character in the first part was about to cry, shouting, Danzo, you're a rotten root, don't come over. Danzo. Humph. But in order for Konoha's light and dark elderly idol group to debut, Hiruzen was forced to change from the old sun to the same shape as Danzo. It is true that the kind-hearted old Hiruzen, who had passed away for many years in the spirit of the Battle of the Warriors, has once again become popular in the ninja world. Soon, the fourth ninja war will begin. Seeing this, Tobirama sat up straight instantly. The potato chip quartet behind him also put down their potato chip bags and looked at the light curtain carefully. Tobirama had long been interested in the information about the Fourth War, but it was a pity that Lin Tian had never said a word about the first and second generations, regarding their participation in the Fourth War after their death and being reincarnated by the impure world reincarnation. When it came to the third generation, he finally understood a little. As for the Third Hokage, he was also very interested in the information about the Fourth War. He wanted to see what the so-called Fourth War was like, and which ninja village or villages Konoha would fight against. Thinking that every time there was a ninja war, they, Konoha, could not stay out of it. Especially in the third ninja war, Konoha challenged the other four major ninja villages alone, which was outrageous. What was even more outrageous was that Konoha actually won in the end. The Third Hokage was most proud of leading Konoha to win the Second and Third Ninja World Wars. Without my leadership, I don't know if Konoha can still win. The Third Hokage looked worried, thinking that Konoha would be doomed without him. Fortunately, Lin Tian didn't let the Third Hokage worry for too long. Soon, the screen showed the scene of four Hokage being reincarnated by Orochimaru. Originally, Hiruzen and the dead Danzo appeared together to debut in the underworld. But the Snape Boy couldn't help missing his godfather. Then the Snape Boy reincarnated the successive Hokage including Hiruzen. However, Uchiha Sasuke appeared beside the Snape Boy at this time, trying to understand the problem of the Uchiha incident. This boy named Uchiha Sasuke looks like Izuna. Looking at Sasuke's face, Tobirama couldn't help but think of Uchiha Izuna, Madara's younger brother. Although they were hostile, Tobirama also acknowledged Izuna's strength. Seeing this face again, he was still a little melancholy. The Third Hokage frowned when he saw Sasuke appear, especially because he wanted to know about the Uchiha incident. Is there a problem with Itachi? One knows one's own business. The Third Hokage was a bit dishonorable in this matter, and he would not believe that anyone in the village would tell Sasuke about the Uchiha rebellion. After all, there were only a few people who knew the truth. Danzo would definitely not tell Sasuke, and he hoped that all the people in the Uchiha clan would die. The only one who might reveal it was Itachi. But looking at Sasuke's appearance on the screen, he should not know much, otherwise he would not come to ask about his own after the impure world reincarnation. At this moment, the Third Hokage became interested. He wanted to know how he answered Sasuke, and what choice Sasuke would make in the end. The resurrected Hiruzen teacher was confused. What happened? Until Hiruzen teacher got the new script given by the screenwriter. At this moment, Hiruzen knew that everything had changed after the impure world reincarnation appeared. The former Hiruzen had long since died on the roof of the Konoha viewing platform, and now it was the Naruto clan's son who returned. So Mr. Zane burst out with superb acting skills, answering Sasuke with the thinking of a shadow. Ah, yes, Uchiha is the best. Who is Danzo? Do I know him? Oh, my childhood friend, right? Ah, yes, it's all his fault. Then Hiruzen touched Sasuke's head, and Sasuke was determined to protect the ninja world with all his heart, and began to rush to the front line to help Konoha fight. Haha. Seeing himself on the screen, coupled with Lin Tian's commentary, the Third Hokage laughed out loud. The person who made this video seems to really know me. He thought about it for a while and found that this really seemed to be something he did. There was no way, because the two teachers, the first and second generation, stood on his right, and the fourth generation, a junior, stood on his left. If he didn't put all the blame on Danzo, then he might have to face the reprimand of Tobirama Sensei and the disappointed eyes of the fourth Hokage. Besides, the reason why he tolerated Danzo so much was that he only handled it lightly when he sent someone to assassinate him. In addition to the factor of friendship, didn't he just want Danzo to take the blame to highlight the greatness and justice of him as the Hokage? It's really me. Sasuke broke one hand after the ninja war. To be honest, Hiruzen's pat on the head is more effective than Naruto's mouth-to-mouth. In summary, the so-called black-bellied, skillful, and experienced Hiruzen are all nonsense. If he was really experienced and black-bellied, he wouldn't have brought the village down several times. Hiruzen only earned the false reputation of being a good guy in Konoha village. Just admit that it was too difficult to serialize a long story, so he was sacrificed. Are you praising me or insulting me? So if I'm not cunning, skillful, or experienced, I'm just an idiot. The Third Hokage didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Tobirama's office. When Sarutobi Hiruzen saw what Lin Tian said, he wanted to stand up and roar to the sky. At the beginning of this review video, he was in a bad mood. He really couldn't imagine why such a handsome, young, rich, strong, and sunny young man would become a sinister and vicious villain. Now, even Lin Tian said that these are all nonsense. He is not a despicable villain. Danzo. Humph. Danzo, are you a pig? You've been humming and humming all the time. If you have something to say, just say it directly, don't be sarcastic. Stupid monkey, think carefully with your pig brain. Danzo was not angry. He just looked at the happy Hiruzen with disdain and said, everything Lin Tian said was based on the work Naruto that he had read, but are we works? We are living people. At this point, Danzo deliberately paused, admired Hiruzen's stiff smile, and then continued. It is normal for cultural works to have various loopholes, but there are no such loopholes in reality. Think about it carefully. If you didn't have skills, weren't treacherous, and weren't experienced, how could you lead Konoha to win the Second and Third Ninja World Wars, and how could you suppress me for so many years and prevent me from becoming Hokage? Am I stupid, or are you stupid? After hearing Danzo's words, Sarutobi Hiruzen was very frustrated. With his intelligence, he quickly reacted and knew that what Danzo said was not wrong. He can't be a naive fool, so the bad side of him shown on the light curtain would happen under normal circumstances. Okay, this video ends here. As for what plots teachers got during the Fourth Ninja War, we will talk about it later. Long press to like, one click 3 times. See you next time. Monkey, I still say that when the light curtain appears in front of us, the future has changed. Seeing Hiruzen looking lost, Tobirama patted his shoulder and persuaded him, as long as you want, you won't become the person in the light curtain. Yes, Tobirama. With Tobirama's comfort, Hiruzen said that he was much better. Seeing that Hiruzen had recovered, Tobirama skillfully lighted the light curtain, and then took out a piece of gold and a small note with words written on it, and rewarded Lin Tian. After the gold and the small note were transmitted, the light curtain that should have disappeared did not disappear, which surprised Tobirama very much. What is this? Looking at the bold and black label of Third Hokage on the screen, Tobirama clicked it without any hesitation. At the same time, the Third Hokage who also rewarded Lin Tian showed a line of words on his screen. Second Hokage Senju Tobirama wants to talk to you accept reject Third Hokage. Chapter 35 Second and Third Generations. After the video was played, the Third Hokage looked at the reward button on the light screen and hesitated, wondering whether he should give the other party something. But he hesitated for only a short while. This light screen at least let me know something, otherwise, I would probably die in the hands of Orochimaru tomorrow. Muttering to himself, the Third Hokage rewarded his beloved pipe. Seeing the pipe disappear in front of his eyes, he thought that the light screen would disappear with it. Unexpectedly, a line of words appeared on the light screen. The Second Hokage Senju Tobirama wants to talk to you accept reject. At this moment, the Third Hokage thought of a lot. If Tobirama Sensei really wants to talk to me through the light screen, does that mean that the video just now is also seen by Tobirama Sensei? The Third Hokage covered his face and suddenly felt a sense of social death. It's like being alone at home. You can do whatever you want, even if you take off your clothes and run naked, because there is no one around, you won't feel anything wrong. However, if there are spectators present, it's not just an ordinary embarrassment. At this time, the Third Hokage's legs were almost cramped due to embarrassment. Knowing that Tobirama had also seen the inventory of him on the light screen, he didn't want to talk to the other party. Fortunately, he had been around for so many years and had experienced a lot. After taking a few deep breaths, he calmed down. He stretched out his right hand and tremblingly clicked accept. What is Hiruzen doing 40 years later? Why doesn't he accept it? In Tobirama's office, Danzo seemed very irritated. He wanted to scold the Third Hokage through the light screen. At the same time, he also wanted to ask him why he would rather let the man named Minato be the fourth Hokage than let him be the Hokage. Am I not your most trusted partner? It's simply unreasonable. Danzo, be patient. Yes, Tobirama teacher. Senju Tobirama saw it clearly. If someone knew some of his dark history, he would not choose to talk to the other party immediately, even if the person was his teacher. There is a picture on the light screen. The Third Hokage didn't let the people in Tobirama's office wait too long. After he chose to accept, the light curtain synchronized the images of both parties. Teacher Tobirama, the Third Hokage, was very excited to see the appearance of Senju Tobirama. After all, it had been 40 years since Tobirama died to cover their retreat. He really missed Teacher Tobirama very much. However, when he saw the younger version of himself, Danzo, Uchiha Kagami and others on the other side, he wanted to close the light curtain immediately and rub his scalp. When he thought that so many people on the other side had seen his inventory video, he couldn't help but feel his scalp tingling. Monkey, you're old. Senju Tobirama did not blame the Third Hokage, but just looked at the other party's old appearance with some melancholy. Teacher, I disappoint you. Senju Tobirama's words, "You're old," made the Third Hokage almost cry. No one knows what kind of pressure he and Danzo and his friends faced when they fled back to the Land of Fire from the border of Kamugaku. No one knows what kind of pressure he faced during the Second and Third Ninja World Wars. Others only saw his glorious side as the village Hokage, but did not see how much effort he had put in for the development of the village in private. Moreover, as a Hokage, he could not make mistakes. Even if he knew that this was wrong, he could not admit it. This is why he could still deceive himself and say that he did this for Konoha after watching this video. He did it all for Konoha. Even though he knew that the Senju Tobirama in front of him was not the Tobirama teacher in his impression, he still honestly admitted his mistake. I'm not disappointed. At least Konoha has developed very well under your leadership. Tobirama was not comforting the Third Hokage. He really thought so. He would not give any comments on some of the operations exposed by the Third Hokage on the light screen. It is not a rational behavior to make rash comments without experiencing the other party's situation. At best, it is just talking without any pain. If he were put in the other party's position, some things might not be handled as well as the other party. He just felt a little sorry that Sarutobi Hiruzen, who became the Third Hokage, did not move forward according to his expectations, but instead became a politician with a strong desire for power. That's all. Thank you for your affirmation, teacher. After receiving the affirmation from Tobirama, the Third Hokage's eyes were filled with mist, and he could no longer hold back the tears of joy. Old monkey, let me ask you, why don't you let me be the fourth Hokage? Seeing the Third Hokage opposite him with tears on his face, and looking at the calm Tobirama teacher, Danzo asked his own question at this time. Danzo, you are not suitable to be Hokage. The Third Hokage was still a little restrained and cautious in front of Tobirama teacher, but he was not so particular in front of the younger version of Danzo. I'm not even inferior to the old version of you, let alone the younger version of you. What do you mean I'm not suitable to be Hokage? It can be seen that Danzo was very dissatisfied with the answer of the third Hokage. Literally, if you don't understand, you can ask the young me next to you to help translate. Ha ha ha. Hearing this, Hiruzen laughed without any scruples. The corners of Danzo's mouth twitched with laughter. The third Hokage opposite him looked puzzled. What are you doing? The third Hokage was indeed very confused, because he and Danzo had always had a good relationship since childhood. Why would the younger version of himself laugh at Danzo? Didn't the younger version of himself know that Danzo was narrow-minded? Forget it, I will fight for the position of Hokage myself, and I don't need anyone to let me. Danzo snorted coldly, and then gave the position to Uchiha Kagami and others. Kagami, it's great to see you again. With just one sentence, Kagami knew that he should have died young. Otherwise, why didn't the third Hokage say this to Kufun, but only to him? Really? I don't believe it. The third Hokage was silent. To be honest, apart from Senju Tobirama, the person he least wanted to see was Uchiha Kagami. It's not that he had any opinion on Kagami, but that the Uchiha clan was exterminated during his tenure. Fortunately, this part was not revealed in the light screen video, and only the story of Fuku's rebellion and his finding traitors was mentioned. Otherwise, if Kagami knew that the Uchiha clan was exterminated, wouldn't he be furious? By the way, monkey, what about the tuning exams over there? Don't worry, Mr. Tobirama, I will definitely protect Konoha tomorrow. Okay, if there's nothing else, let's do this. Okay, Mr. Tobirama. Seeing that Senju Tobirama had no interest in continuing the conversation, the third Hokage nodded and took the initiative to click a red button on the light curtain. When he pressed it, the images of Tobirama, Danzo and others disappeared. I didn't expect to see Mr. Tobirama again. The most important thing is that Mr. Tobirama didn't blame me. Ha 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 ha. The third Hokage first laughed 3 times, then clapped his hands hard, looking very annoyed. I'm really old. I actually forgot to ask Mr. Tobirama about the light curtain. In Tobirama's office, when the third Hokage hung up the phone, Tobirama prepared to go to the place where Uchiha Madara was buried to see if Madara was still lying in the coffin obediently. However, when he was about to turn around and leave, he was surprised to find that the light curtain had not disappeared. What's going on? Chapter 36. Tobirama. Uchiha Madara is not dead. Everyone in Tobirama's office found that the light curtain had not disappeared. And a new choice appeared on the light curtain. Do you want to apply to travel to the world of the second viewer? Apply or reject. Can we still go to Konoha 40 years later? Faced with the new choice on the light curtain, everyone was surprised. The picture on the light curtain only showed a small part of Konoha village. Just this small part alone made everyone present very yearning. Now that they have this opportunity, Hiruzen and the other 6 people certainly want to go and see it in person. However, only Senju Tobirama can make this decision. It was Danzo who couldn't hold back and asked, "Teacher, do we want to go over and take a look?" Senju Tobirama didn't answer Danzo directly, but looked at the other students and asked, "Do you want to go over and take a look?" "Teacher, we do." "Yes, teacher, we want to go to Konoha 40 years later." Tobirama nodded and continued, "Don't hold too much hope. The light screen says apply. Who should we apply to? I guess it should be the third Hokage. If he doesn't agree, we probably won't be able to get through." Having said that, Tobirama still clicked to confirm. Wait and see if the third Hokage will let us through. The third Hokage was very conflicted at this time. On the one hand, he wanted Tobirama to come over and see how prosperous the Konoha village was under his rule. On the other hand, he didn't want Tobirama to come over. Once Senju Tobirama, the second Hokage and his teacher, came over, who would Konoha listen to? Tobirama Senju? He was unwilling to accept that. He was the actual ruler of this village. He wanted him to give up power. Impossible. What if the village still listens to him? Then what will his teacher, Senju Tobirama, think? Judging from his own experience, he will definitely be very unhappy. His own disciple dares to disobey that teacher. Then don't blame me for cleaning up the family. Go to hell, mouth teeth. Thinking of this, the third Hokage couldn't help but shudder. Family members know their own business. If they really fight with Tobirama, let alone he is so old, even if he is at his peak, he will definitely not be able to beat the other party. So, should he agree or refuse? Standing in place, the third Hokage has been sweating for more than a minute. He felt that if he didn't make a decision, he would be exhausted in a short time. This consumes much more energy than fighting with others. I don't know how long Tobirama teacher will stay here. If it's just a few days, it's not impossible to agree. Perhaps because of the Third Hokage's mumbling, some words appeared on the light screen, which just answered his question. Travelers can only stay in other people's worlds for 1 hour. The time point of the crossing can be any time within the next 3 days. Note: as more and more viewers are connected in the future, the time the crosser stays will increase accordingly, the time point selection will increase, and the number of characters brought will also increase. The current number of official inventory videos is 3. Is this the third inventory video? If I'm not mistaken, the first two should be the first and second generations. Looking at the notes on the light screen, the third generation of Hokage was relieved. There is only 1 hour of stay. In such a short time, even if you want to do something, you can't do it. In addition, you can cross over at any time within 3 days. The third generation of Hokage agreed to Tobirama's application without thinking, and set the crossing time at 9:30 tomorrow morning. This time point is exactly when Orochimaru launches the Godfather Loves Me Again plan. It is the time to launch the Konoha Collapse plan. The third generation of Hokage originally wanted Jiraiya to pretend to be his bodyguard and fight Orochimaru together with him. Now, Jiraiya should honestly deal with the giant snake summoned beast outside the village. Orochimaru, let me and Tobirama deal with it. Presumably, when Orochimaru saw Tobirama, he must have been very confused. Thinking about it, the third Hokage laughed out loud. Orochimaru, that's not right, how come there is a real person? Okay, they agreed. After the third Hokage agreed to Tobirama's application, the light curtain on Tobirama's side also showed the time point when he would travel through. Because the light curtain played 3 official inventory videos, he could take 3 people with him this time. Faced with the situation of only being able to take 3 people, Mitokado Wong, Yutate Kahara and Akimichi Tofu were slightly disappointed. Because the 3 of them understood that Tobirama would most likely not choose them. As expected, Tobirama chose Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo and Uchiha Kagami to go. As for why these choices were made, it was actually very simple. First of all, the strength of the 3 of them ranked in the top 3 among the 6 students. Secondly, it was Tobirama's bad taste. He wanted to know what interesting things would happen when the young version of Hiruzen met the old version of the third Hokage, and when the young version of Danzo met the old version of Danzo. Also, when Uchiha Kagami returned to the Uchiha clan, would the other party think that Kagami was a fake and attack unreasonably? Haha, Tobirama found it interesting just thinking about it. Okay, this matter is over, let's all go back. After confirming the people who had crossed over, the light curtain disappeared. There was no need for Tobirama and others to stay in the office. After leaving the office, Sarutobi Hiruzen found Orochimaru. The two talked for a long time, and no one knew what they talked about. Uchiha Kagami returned to the clan, found the clan leader, and entered the library to look for information after obtaining consent. It was simple for Shimura Danzo. He returned to his home and went to bed early, wanting to conserve his energy and make a good show in tomorrow's Konoha Collapse plan to show the old monkey his heroic appearance. Here, Senju Tobirama, as planned, used the Flying Thunder God to come to a hill where Uchiha Madara was buried. After digging the soil for half an hour, he dug out Madara's coffin and opened it. His face suddenly became gloomy. Because there was no body of Uchiha Madara in the coffin. It seems that you are really not dead, Madara. Uchiha Madara did not die, which was a very bad result for Senju Tobirama. In that battle, even his eldest brother was seriously injured, which eventually led to his death a few years later. And Uchiha Madara, who was stabbed in the back by his eldest brother, how could he not die? I hope that there will be gains on the other side of the mirror. Muttering, Tobirama spent some time to restore everything here to its original state, and then used Flying Thunder God to leave this place. After Tobirama left, under a tree not far from Madara's grave, a pale figure suddenly jumped out from the ground. This person was a white Zetsu. I've been hiding here for a year. I thought it would be boring forever. I didn't expect that the second Hokage was capable. He discovered that Madara-sama was faking his death. I hope the next mission Madara-sama arranges won't be as boring as this one. After talking to himself for a few words, White Zetsu sneaked into the ground and headed for the border between the Land of Rice and the Land of Water Trap. The name of this place is Mountain Cemetery. Uchiha Madara, who faked his death, hid here. Chapter 37 Uchiha Madara. It has been about 10 years since the battle between Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. During these 10 years, Uchiha Madara spent most of his time underground in the mountain cemetery. He was quietly waiting for his eternal Sharingan to evolve. The reason why he knew that the Eternal Sharingan could evolve was because he had seen the Uchiha clan's ancestral stone tablet. From the outside, this stone tablet is very ordinary, just an ordinary stone. But with the Sharingan, you can see the words on it clearly. Uchiha Madara has the Eternal Mange King, which can see all the words on it. He clearly remembers that it was written on it. A god divided yin and yang into two poles, and in order to seek stability, when the two poles return to one, you can get all things in the world. From this, he guessed that they, the Uchiha, are yin and the Senju, are yang. That's why he bit off a piece of the other party's flesh during the battle with Senju Hashirama, just to obtain Hashirama's chakra and get the all things in the world written on the stone tablet. Afterwards, he used the Uchiha clan's secret technique Izanaji to fake his death, deceived Hashirama Senju and Tobirama Senju, and came to the mountain cemetery, waiting for himself to evolve the power of the universe. At first, he didn't know what this power was, until a month later, his eyes began to slowly increase their pupil power. You know, his pair of Eternal Mange Kings have already stood at the peak of pupil power. Since it can continue to increase, this power of the universe is probably going to evolve his eyes. The speed of evolution is slower than he imagined. His body is not as strong as Hashirama Senju. Even if he used this energy to change the reality of his death, he did suffer a lot of injuries in that battle. 9 years later, when Uchiha Madara felt that he was about to die, his Sharingan finally evolved into the Samsara Eye. And with the successful advancement of the Samsara Eye, a black thing called Zetsu is also peeled off from Madara's body. According to this black thing, he is Madara's will and the product of Madara's yin-yang escape. Madara naturally wouldn't trust Zetsu so easily. It wasn't until Zetsu asked Madara to summon the Outer Path Demon statue and use the power of the demon statue to extend his life that he initially believed in the other party. The current role of the Outer Path Demon statue, in addition to extending the life of Uchiha Madara, is also a subsidiary product called White Zetsu. According to Zetsu's black and muddled words, White Zetsu is a creature that uses the cells of Hashirama in Madara's body and transforms through the demon statue. With the existence of White Zetsu, Madara is not so bored. He can know most of what happened in the ninja world through White Zetsu. At the same time, under the deception of Black Zetsu, Madara decided to use his Samsara Eye to implement the Moon Eye plan recorded on the Uchiha stele. However, even with the Outer Path Demon statue to extend his life, his body has been very old and he can't walk in the ninja world easily. So, in order to complete this plan, he needs to find a spokesperson. This spokesperson must not only have super strength, but most importantly, listen to him, Uchiha Madara. Looking at the entire ninja world, no one from the Uchiha clan meets his requirements better. Therefore, he ordered White Zetsu to keep a close eye on the Uchiha clan and tell him immediately if there was a suitable candidate. At the same time, he also sent a White Zetsu to guard his fate grave. If anyone discovered his fate death, they had to report to him. After a year, the White Zetsu who was lurking in Uchiha Madara's fate grave finally returned to the mountain cemetery after an all-night journey. Lord Madara, I'm back. Each White Zetsu was different. Some White Zetsu are taciturn, while others are very lively. It is obvious that the White Zetsu who was sent to guard the grave is a very lively guy. What's the matter? Madara glanced at the White Zetsu in front of him. He didn't recognize who this White Zetsu was, but in order to maintain his own style, he could only pretend to know him. Lord Madara is very smart. Someone dug up your grave and discovered your fate death. Who dug my grave? Why does this sound weird? As soon as he finished speaking, Uchiha Madara's expression was a little strange, and he looked at the White Zetsu in front of him with a bad look. White Zetsu didn't notice this, and said with a joking face, Guess your sister. Uchiha Madara remembered that the main reason why he sent this White Zetsu to guard his tomb was that this guy's brain circuit was a little different, and he couldn't stand it. If you don't say it, then you won't have a chance to say it in the future. Looking at Uchiha Madara with a gloomy face, White Zetsu immediately put away his smile and replied solemnly. It was the first generation Hokage of Konoha village, Senju Hashirama. What? Hashirama is resurrected? Uchiha Madara widened his eyes. Obviously, this news surprised him very much. No. White Zetsu shook his head and continued. It was Senju Hashirama's younger brother, the second generation Hokage, Senju Tobirama. Uchiha Madara. White Zetsu. Quiet, dead quiet. Madara and White Zetsu didn't say anything, the two of them just stared at each other. White Zetsu thought Madara was playing a game of not blinking with him, and he didn't blink for 2 minutes. Finally, White Zetsu couldn't stand the soreness in his eyes, but he didn't want to admit defeat, so he could only say embarrassedly, Master Madara, are your eyes dry? I've been staring at you for 2 minutes, and you didn't understand what I meant and got out of here, and you're asking me if my eyes are dry. Madara suppressed his anger and said to the white Zetsu in front of him with a smile. White Zetsu, I always think that you are the smartest among all the white Zetsu, and you came back just in time this time. Come on, I want to give you some rewards. And this white Zetsu was not too stupid. He knew that he might have angered Master Madara, although he didn't know why he had angered Master Madara, but a good man would not suffer a loss in front of him, so he ran away first. Master Madara is too polite. Your reward should be left to other white Zetsu. By the way, I suddenly remembered that I left something in front of your grave, Master Madara, and I will go and find it back. After saying that, white Zetsu turned around and started running out without waiting for Uchiha Madara to respond. White Zetsu is also naive. He wanted to run after offending Uchiha Madara. Madara made a yin seal with his hands, and then blew out a huge fireball from his mouth. This is the fire style. Great fireball technique. White Zetsu was careless and didn't dodge, and was directly burned to ashes by this fireball. This white Zetsu didn't die in vain. Through him, we can know that fire style can also kill people. How it feels good. After killing this white Zetsu who made him unhappy, Madara suddenly felt much better. Why are you so angry, Madara-sama? There are not enough white Zetsu now. We should make the best use of each one. At this time, Black Zetsu came late and saw the white Zetsu who was burned to ashes. His tone was a little helpless. I gave him a chance a year ago, but he didn't know how to cherish it. Besides, he is just a white Zetsu, so I'll kill him. Anyway, I'm just your will, Madara-sama. Whatever Madara-sama says is what it is. Madara nodded proudly. Look, this is the attitude a servant should have, and everything is for Uchiha Madara. Unlike this ash on the ground, who dared to let him guess who discovered his fake death, and even gasped when talking, which made him lose his composure. It was really a bargain for him to let this scumbag white Zetsu die like this. There is something wrong with the timeline. White Zetsu, who had been lurking for many years in the previous chapter, was changed to lurking for 1 year. No need to rewatch, it will not affect the subsequent plot. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 38. Arriving at Konoha 40 years later. A year's plan starts with spring, and a day's plan starts with the morning. In the morning, Senju Tobirama and 6 disciples gathered in the Hokage's office for the time travel. Okimichi Tofu, Mito Kadaong, and Jiten Gahara didn't have a place to travel, so they didn't need to come. But they felt that if they didn't come, they would seem out of place. It just so happened that they also wanted to witness how Tobirama and his team traveled through time, and see if they could find any loopholes to let them travel through time as well. Seeing that everyone was there, Tobirama said, I checked Madara's grave yesterday and found that the coffin was empty, which shows that Madara is really not dead. At this point, Tobirama looked at his glasses and asked, Kamai, did you get anything from there? Kamai shook his head and said, 1 night is still too little time, I need more time. Tobirama didn't make it difficult for Kamai. He knew that a family like this that has been passed down for hundreds of years must have a lot of books at home. It's really impossible to find the secret technique that made Madara fake his death in 1 night. How about you, Hiruzen? Are there any bad signs from Orochimaru? In addition to the fact that Uchiha Madara is not dead, Tobirama is most concerned about Orochimaru. This is a genius of the next generation of Konoha, and he cannot be allowed to become a traitor as shown by the light curtain. Even if he finally returned to Konoha, he betrayed the village halfway and killed the 3rd generation Hokage who was his teacher. It is a stain no matter how you look at it. I talked to Orochimaru for a long time last night. He has indeed shown bad signs. He has been discussing topics such as the meaning of life with me. Sarutobi Hiruzen touched his head and felt a little embarrassed. As a teacher, he was completely at a disadvantage in the conversation with Orochimaru. Facing Orochimaru's questions, he didn't know how to answer. If Orochimaru asked him questions about escape techniques, he would not need to think about anything and could answer immediately. But the question of life is too heavy and broad. It seems particularly difficult to answer these questions with his knowledge reserves. If nothing goes wrong during this time travel, you can bring Orochimaru to see me after you come back. Okay, Mr. Tobirama. Seeing Hiruzen agreed, Tobirama nodded and continued, By the way, there is something I should have told you and Kagami last night, so that you don't forget it after traveling back. I will tell you now. Touching his chin, Tobirama organized his words in his mind and said, "You should all know that some time ago I sent members of the 3 families of Inoshikacho to protect the city lords of the country, right?" The 6 students replied in unison, "Yes, Mr. Tobirama." "That's good to know." The members of Inoshikacho are in charge of the city lords, but the daimyo has a different idea. He wants Hiruzen and Kagami to go and protect him. "Teacher, I have no problem." Kagami had no objection to protecting the daimyo and quickly agreed. It was Hiruzen who became embarrassed. "Hiruzen, do you have any ideas?" Faced with Tobirama's question, Hiruzen asked embarrassedly. "Teacher, how long will Kagami and I be gone?" "I don't know, as short as 1 or 2 months, as long as 1 or 2 years, it's possible." "Is that so?" Hiruzen frowned and thought for a while, and continued to ask, "Then can I take my 3 students with me?" Hiruzen felt that if he didn't take Orochimaru with him, when he came back, Orochimaru would probably be in the shape of Tobirama. He didn't want his genius disciple to be snatched away by someone else. Even if the person was Tobirama's teacher. The daimyo should agree to let Tsunade go, but he will definitely not agree to war Orochimaru and Jiraiya. Tsunade and the daimyo of the Land of Fire are relatives, and the former calls the latter grandpa. Otherwise, do you really think that Tsunade is called princess because she is the granddaughter of Tobirama Senju? The title of princess can only be held by the direct relatives of the daimyo of each country. If his granddaughter comes to protect him, I'm afraid the daimyo, as a grandfather, will be too happy to rush her out. Jiraiya and Orochimaru were not in a good position. They were outsiders and could not get close to the daimyo. What about Orochimaru and the others when I leave? It doesn't matter. I will be responsible for teaching them. Tobirama said firmly. Tobirama had always admired Orochimaru. While Hiruzen was going to protect the daimyo, he could take him with him and teach him well. Tsunade, she was Tobirama's granddaughter, so Tobirama would naturally not refuse to teach him. As for Jiraiya, Tobirama felt that the person who could win the title of Sannin with Tsunade and Orochimaru in the Second Ninja War should not be too bad, so he simply taught them together. Do you have any more questions? Seeing that Tobirama had arranged everything, Hiruzen had nothing to say. He could only sigh and reply, "I have no questions." That's good. At this time, Danzo asked anxiously, "Teacher, what about me?" His meaning was very clear. Kagami and Hiruzen went to protect the daimyo, so what about him? Did he have any other arrangements? Facing Danzo's question, Tobirama directly replied, "You and Tofuku and the others, just stay in Konoha with peace of mind." Is that so? From the way Danzo clenched his fists, it can be seen that he was very unwilling at this moment. He didn't want to protect the daimyo or others that much, he just didn't want to lose to Hiruzen. Tobirama ignored Danzo's unwillingness. He looked at the time and found that there was more than a minute until 9:30. He immediately took out 4 masks from the drawer. One of them was covered on his face, and the other 3 were distributed to the 3 people who were going to travel through time. Looking at the masks in their hands, the 3 asked in confusion, "Teacher, what is this?" In order not to cause any trouble to the village 40 years later, hide your identity a little and show the village's forest protector. I see. After hearing the reason given by Tobirama, the 3 people quickly started to put on the masks. When they put on the masks, the time was exactly 9:30. In an instant, a rotating circular formation appeared under the feet of the 4 of them. Before they could see the patterns on the formation clearly, with a flash of white light, the 4 disappeared in the office. Akimichi Tofu, Yutan Kahara, and Mitokadawan looked at each other, without saying anything, but stood outside the office door in tacit understanding. They would not allow anyone to enter until the 4 Senju Tobirama came back. Konoha Village in Konoha 61. In a small alley not far from the entrance of the village, with a wave of space fluctuations, Tobirama, wearing a mask, successfully arrived in Konoha 40 years later. Where are Hiruzen and the others? Looking around, Tobirama did not see his 3 students. He immediately realized that this time travel should be that the 4 people were randomly scattered anywhere in Konoha. I don't know where the 3 of them are. Standing there and thinking for a while, Tobirama decided not to look for them, but to rush to the management desk, which was where the tuning exam was held in the light curtain. At the same time, Sarutobi Hiruzen, who appeared in the bathhouse, was being chased by a group of women. Uchiha Kagami appeared at the outskirts of the village, and after asking a passerby, he began to head towards the Uchiha residence. Danzo was very lucky, as he appeared directly between the third Hokage and the fourth Hokage. This undoubtedly saved him time on the road, and he got there in one step, which was really a cause for celebration. Chapter 39 Konoha's Collapse Plan is officially launched. Today is the final stage of the Chunin exam. The third Hokage got up early and came to the Hokage's office. He now arranged the patrol range of the Yambu ninjas, and also reminded ninjas like Ashuma and Kai, hinting that something big will happen in today's Chunin exam, and asked them to be alert to their surroundings. Faced with the third Hokage's hint, Ashuma and others did not say much, but nodded solemnly, indicating that they understood. Originally, the third Hokage wanted to make arrangements for his old friend Danzo. However, seeing that he did not come to the Hokage's office, he gave up the idea. The third Hokage felt that if a fight really broke out later, Danzo would not sit idly by. Seeing that the time was almost up, the third Hokage, who had made all the arrangements, came to the Konoha viewing platform with several guards such as Bijulaga. After waiting here for a while, he met the fourth Hokage disguised as Orochimaru. "Your Excellency Hokage is so old, but you are still in such good health." "Ha, Your Excellency Hokage, thank you for your praise." With the third Hokage's complicated expression, the two greeted each other and then sat down on the left and right. The location here is very good, and you can have a panoramic view of the competition venue below. The first game is between Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga. Orochimaru seemed very interested in the first game. He did not forget that in the Death Forest, Uzumaki Naruto burst out the nine-tailed chakra and wanted to save Uchiha Sasuke from him. Unfortunately, it was in vain. The nine-tailed chakra code did not reveal a single tail. Orochimaru just moved his fingers slightly and used the five-element seal to deal with Uzumaki Naruto, the nine-tailed Jinchuriki. He has strength, but not much. As for Hyuga, Orochimaru knew that he was a rare genius in the Hyuga family. It was a bit of a pity that he was a member of the branch family and had the limitations of a bird in a cage, and could not be the container for his transformation. Otherwise, I would have given him a shot no matter what in the Death Forest. What a wonderful battle. Soon, the battle between Uzumaki Naruto and Hyuga began, with Naruto bursting out the nine-tailed chakra, using a shadow clone to trick the opponent, and then using the friendship face-breaking punch on Neji to defeat him. Yes, Naruto and Neji are both very good kids. Looking at them reminds me of my three useless students. Does the Hokage think these two kids can compare to the famous Sannin? The third Hokage chuckled and looked at the fourth Hokage and said, "Whether they can compare or not depends on the future development of these little guys." "Ha, then I'll wait and see." The second match will be between Uchiha Sasuke and Gaara. Please come on stage as soon as possible. In the competition venue below, the referee Shiroui was calling the players of the second match to come up. But at this time, Uchiha Sasuke and Kakashi were still on their way. After Shiroui urged Sasuke several times but he didn't see him, he was about to announce that Sasuke gave up when the fourth Hokage spoke. "Why don't we let the latter compete first? Anyway, there is no rush." "Okay, I will follow your words, Mr. Hokage." After receiving instructions from the top, Shiroui skipped the second game and started the third game. Unfortunately, Kankuro of Sand Village chose to give up in order to preserve his strength. Then the fourth game will be played next. If Uchiha Sasuke has not arrived at the scene after this game, then Genma will have to announce that he has given up. Fortunately, Narashikamaru bought enough time in that game against Himari. At the moment when the fourth game ended, Uchiha Sasuke just caught up. "Are we not late?" Seeing Kakashi and Sasuke appear, Genma breathed a sigh of relief and strode Kakashi out, leaving the competition stage to Sasuke and Gaara. The game was very intense. Sasuke cost Shaolei's movements and shook Gaara to the point of being confused. The audience on the sidelines were very excited and cheered loudly for the two people in the field. At this time, on the viewing platform, the fourth Hokage looked at the third Hokage with a little doubt and asked, "Hokage, you seem to be looking at the time?" "Yes." The third Hokage did not deny that he was indeed looking at the time, and he seemed a little anxious. "Is there something important?" "Well, it is indeed something important." As for what it was, the third Hokage did not say. The fourth Hokage was also very tactful and did not ask. In this case, then, the fourth Hokage originally wanted the third Hokage to take care of his own business first, but before he finished speaking, a Konoha ninja wearing a mask suddenly appeared between him and the third Hokage. The sudden scene not only stunned the third Hokage and the fourth Hokage for a moment, but even the young version of Danzo who was teleported over was also confused. Fortunately, the quality of the three people was very good, and they reacted in just a moment. Stupid monkey, you are still so slow in doing things. As soon as Danzo spoke, the third Hokage knew who this person who suddenly appeared was. He smacked the pipe in his mouth and replied, I just want to reduce some of the losses of the village. That's right, the reason why the third Hokage is still here to play with Orochimaru is not to let Orochimaru activate the fourth purple flame formation and cover him and himself together. In this way, without Orochimaru, the top combat power, the rest of the Sound Ninja and Sand Ninja are all a bunch of scum in the eyes of the third Hokage. The picture on the light screen is very clear. In this battle, except for him and Orochimaru, his hands, who died together, the loss of the entire Konoha village can be said to be not very large. If Orochimaru's actions cannot be restricted and he is allowed to run around in the village, the loss of the village will be very large. You're right. Danzo thought about it and felt that the third Hokage was right, but he did not choose to shut up, but continued. So what do you say, what should we do now? How about we just pretend that nothing happened? Let it go. Okay, just pretend that nothing happened. Hearing this, the fourth Hokage couldn't help but interrupt and asked, Hokage, what are you two talking about? Obviously, he was confused by the conversation between the two. What about the third Hokage's procrastination and reducing the village's losses? The fourth Hokage didn't understand at all. He just vaguely felt that something seemed to be wrong. It's okay, let's continue. The third Hokage smiled and started to smooth things over. Danzo still hated the third Hokage for not letting him become the fourth Hokage, so he interrupted him without giving him face, pointed at the fourth Hokage and said sternly, Your crime has been exposed, Orochimaru, just surrender. Hearing this, Orochimaru's pupils shrank, and he didn't understand why his identity was exposed. He used the technique of erasing the face, replacing the fourth Hokage's face with his own. Logically, no one would notice that he was an imposter. Fortunately, Orochimaru was decisive. The moment his identity was revealed, he sent a secret signal to Kabuto Yakushi to activate the illusion. Coincidentally, Gaara was injured by Uchiha Sasuke's Chidori and fell into a violent state. His ferocious appearance was on the verge of transforming into a tailed beast. Then, the Konoha collapse plan was officially launched. Chapter 40. Impure World Reincarnation. The second generation complains about the second generation. A large number of white feathers fell from the sky above the venue, causing those who came into contact with them to immediately fall into a deep sleep. This was the Nirvana Jinsei technique used by Kabuto Yakushi, an illusion that could put people into a deep sleep. At the same time, seeing that Kabuto Yakushi had successfully launched the illusion, the fourth Hokage stopped pretending and kicked Danzo, trying to kick him out so that he could take the opportunity to kidnap the third Hokage. Danzo saw Orochimaru attacking him, and he ran away without saying a word, without any intention of resisting the third Hokage. Good opportunity. Danzo's retrieve made the third Hokage look a little surprised, as if he didn't expect this guy to dodge. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Orochimaru used the snake skin to move around behind that third Hokage, and successfully kidnapped him to the roof of the viewing platform. Haha, I said it at the beginning, Mr. Hokage, you're old. The third Hokage did not panic, but calmly took off the pipe from his mouth, shook out the ash inside, and put it in the pocket of his robe. Okay, Orochimaru, stop pretending. I knew it was you. Really? Then I really look at you with new eyes, Sarutobi-sensei. Seeing that his disguise was indeed exposed, Orochimaru no longer needed to pretend. He took off his hat, tore off his human skin, and restored his original appearance. You should know, Orochimaru, since I have seen through your true face a long time ago, it means that your plan is impossible to succeed. Haha, I don't believe it. Then try it. Let's try it. Orochimaru's right hand holding the kunai exerted force and successfully cut the aorta of the third Hokage. Orochimaru was not happy about this, because he knew that it was only a clone that was cut. His judgment was correct. The third Hokage, who was bleeding profusely, turned into a pool of mud in a second. It was the earth clone used by the third Hokage. At this time, at the four corners of the roof, the four sound ninjas were already in place, and their hands were quickly forming seals. Ninjutsu. 4 purple flame formation. After a while, a rectangular barrier with purple transparent flames appeared on the roof. Just at this time, Senju Tobirama finally arrived, and took advantage of the barrier not being completely covered, and rushed in an instant. Old teacher. At this time, Tobirama was also wearing a mask, but his appearance of silver hair and red eyes was still recognized by the third Hokage. Monkey, you are really old. Taking off the mask, Tobirama looked at the old face of the third Hokage and sighed. Teacher, you are still so young. After all, I have only been in Konoha for 21 years, which is a gap of 40 years with here. No, it's not a matter of time. In my mind, the teacher is always young. You are still so cunning. On this side, Tobirama was chatting with the third Hokage, and on the other side, when Orochimaru saw the face of Senju Tobirama, he almost felt sick. What's going on? Didn't I not use the impure world reincarnation yet? Why did the second Hokage appear here? Shocked, Orochimaru stared at Tobirama for a while, but he did not find that cracks on Tobirama's face that were unique to the impure world reincarnation. A terrible thought quietly emerged in Orochimaru's mind. Is there such a thing? Orochimaru looked at Senju Tobirama with excitement, and his hands were not idle. He first untied a scroll and released 3 unconscious Atanin, and then began to quickly form seals, wanting to use the impure world reincarnation. He wanted to confirm his guess and see if the other party was the real second Hokage. If the other party was a fake, then he could successfully summon the impure world reincarnation second generation. If the other party was real, he would not be able to summon the impure world reincarnation second generation. Of the two situations, he hoped it would be the latter. Compared to destroying Konoha, he still hoped to have a fellow traveler. That's right, he thought that the Senju Tobirama in front of him also used some secret technique like him to prolong his life. Otherwise, according to his age, the second Hokage of Konoha should have died of old age. Teacher, is this okay? Orochimaru's intention to use the impure world reincarnation was obvious. The third Hokage wanted to interrupt him with ninjutsu, but was stopped by Tobirama. It doesn't matter. I also want to know if he can successfully summon my impure world body. With Tobirama's deliberate letting him go, Orochimaru successfully summoned 3 coffins. The first one to be opened was the coffin with the 4 sticker on it. It's empty as expected. Looking at the empty 4 coffin, the third Hokage breathed a sigh of relief. Facing the first Hokage and the possible second Hokage, he was already under a lot of pressure. If the fourth Hokage came again, he would really be dead. It's not that the fourth Hokage is stronger than the first Hokage and the second Hokage, but the fourth Hokage's famous skill is the Flying Thunder God technique. In the eyes of the third Hokage, the fourth Hokage's Flying Thunder God technique is better than the second Hokage. With such an elusive assassin, the pressure during the war will be infinite. Fortunately, the soul of the fourth Hokage was taken by the God of Death. Even if Orochimaru had the body tissue of the fourth Hokage, he could not summon him. Failed. Orochimaru frowned. He also knew that the soul of the fourth Hokage was taken by the God of Death. This was just an attempt of his to see if this forbidden technique could snatch someone from the hands of the God of Death. Now it seems that the impure world reincarnation still cannot snatch someone from the God of Death. But it doesn't matter. The real trump card is these 2. In Orochimaru's expectant eyes, the coffins with the words "and" were opened one after another, revealing the figures of the first and second Hokage inside. At this time, Orochimaru had not suppressed the consciousness of the impure world reincarnation first and second Hokage. When they opened their eyes and saw the third Hokage, they recognized each other's identity at first sight. The Edo Hashirama couldn't help but say, "Monkey, long time no see, you're so old now." The third Hokage was a little amused and said, "I'm really sorry that I'm so old, first Hokage." "Hey, who is this person next to you? Why does he look familiar?" The Edo Hashirama shook his head and made a thoughtful expression. The impure world Tobirama on the side couldn't stand it anymore, and yelled at the impure world Hashirama, "Stupid brother, can't you see that the guy on the opposite side is pretending to be me?" The impure world Hashirama suddenly realized, "I see, there are 2 Tobiramas here." "There are not 2, it's obvious that the guy on the opposite side is a fake, I'm the real Senju Tobirama." After yelling at his stupid brother again, the impure world Tobirama asked Tobirama next to the third Hokage in a bad mood, "Who are you, the guy on the opposite side? Why are you pretending to be me?" The real Tobirama covered his face and complained, "I said it was impossible for me to take only 6 students to sign a peace agreement with Kamugaku without any preparation. It turns out that I am so stupid in this time and space." Obviously, the impure world Tobirama heard the real Tobirama's complaints, and immediately said angrily, "Hey, what do you mean? Isn't my meaning obvious?" The real Tobirama pointed at him and the impure world reincarnation Hashirama and continued, "You who were resurrected and reappeared in the world with the impure world reincarnation technique, shouldn't you first break free from the control of this technique before talking to me?" Huh. After the real Tobirama's reminder, the impure world reincarnation Tobirama also reacted. He immediately made hand seals with both hands in a fast reverse direction, hoping to break free from the control of the impure world reincarnation technique. Unfortunately, Orochimaru, who had been prepared for this, did not give the impure world reincarnation Tobirama a chance to complete the hand seal. He took the lead and buried the talisman into the heads of the impure world reincarnation Hashirama and Tobirama, causing the two to lose consciousness in an instant. Seeing that the eyes of the two had dimmed, the real Tobirama couldn't help but complain again, "You are so stupid." Chapter 41 Battle on the Roof. Standing behind the first and second generations of the impure world reincarnation, Orochimaru looked confused and excited. What was confusing was that he summoned the second generation of Hokage with the impure world reincarnation, which meant that the one in front of him was an imposter. But he also judged from some of the words of this imposter and some of the actions of the third generation of Hokage that this person was not an imposter but the real one. This situation of being both yes and no made Orochimaru very excited, and he couldn't wait to get the answer to this question. So, when the first and second generations of the impure world reincarnation had lost consciousness, he immediately controlled the two impure world reincarnations to launch an attack. In his opinion, 3 against 2, the advantage is on my side. Even if the opponent is the real second generation of Hokage, he is not at all inferior. Well, this is the sin of the third generation of Hokage. Who told him to brag about being the strongest Hokage in order to maintain his rule after the death of the second generation? It was obvious that Orochimaru was the victim that the third Hokage boasted about. Monkey, you go deal with Orochimaru. Teacher, you don't tell me that you are so old that you can't even deal with your own students. Then be careful, teacher. Facing the attack of the Impure World Regiment Judo, Senju Tobirama didn't take it seriously at all. He even had time to ask the third Hokage to deal with Orochimaru. Fire style. Fire Dragon Flame Bomb. The third Hokage listened to Senju Tobirama's words, dodged the attack of the Impure World Regiment Judo, and fired a powerful fire style at Orochimaru. At this time, Orochimaru had just consumed a large wave of chakra and was slowly recovering. Facing the third Hokage's Fire Dragon Flame Bomb, he did not use ninjutsu to defend, but used snake skin to dodge it. Seeing that the long-range attack had no effect and wasted his chakra, the third Hokage simply formed seals with both hands to summon the monkey demon. Monkey, what's going on? The summoned monkey demon looked around vigilantly. It would have been better if he hadn't looked at it. When he looked at it, it was immediately scared. The two second-generation Hokage were fighting each other with water escape technique, and during the fight, the first-generation Hokage was helping. Such a magical scene is hard to believe unless you see it with your own eyes. Did Orochimaru do it? I told you not to let him go at the beginning, and now it's all right, there's trouble. The third-generation Hokage ignored the nagging of the Saruma, and said seriously, "Old man, turn into a golden hoop stick." Okay. Saruma listened to the third-generation Hokage very much. He asked him to transform, so he did. Seeing the third-generation Hokage took out a big stick, Orochimaru did not hesitate to spit out a big sword from his mouth. "Orochimaru, come and die." "Ha, it's not certain who will die." After that, the two of them fought together as if no one was there. Otherwise, a teacher is a teacher. Without the disturbance of the Impure World Duo in the original drama, the third-generation Hokage used the fact that the golden hoop stick could be transformed as desired to suppress Orochimaru severely. From time to time, he could hit the other party with a stick. Unfortunately, Orochimaru could still withstand this level of attack. Instead, after a series of ping-pongs, Saruma was the first to be unable to bear it. "Monkey, be careful, don't always ask me to fight against the Kusanagi sword, my body is not as strong as that sword." "Okay, I'll be careful." Although he said so, Orochimaru was not a pushover. When he was suppressed by the third Hokage, he used the characteristics of the Kusanagi sword, which was both solid and sharp, to make Saruma's golden hoop scream. He knew that only by solving the problem of the golden hoop could he gain the upper hand in this physical duel, and even kill the third Hokage. Here, the physical duel between the third Hokage and Orochimaru was very exciting. Over there, the battle between Tobirama Senju and the first and second generations of the Impure World Reincarnation clan was also very lively. That's right, it was lively. The chakra of the Senju clan was much more than that of ordinary people. Among them, the one with the most chakra was undoubtedly Hashirama Senju. However, as Hashirama's younger brother, Tobirama also has an outrageous amount of chakra. So his water jutsu can be performed in places without water, and it is particularly powerful. Although the strength of the first and second generations resurrected by the impure world reincarnation has been greatly weakened, they also have an advantage, that is, unlimited chakra. On one side, the amount of chakra is huge. On the other side, the amount of chakra is unlimited. It can be imagined that when these two sides fight, the ninjutsu will be thrown out like a free gift. When the impure world Hashirama used to wood jutsu, the birth of the tree world, summoning a large number of trees, Senju Tobirama immediately used to water jutsu, the water-breaking wave. When the high-pressure water gun meets the crazy growing trees, the result is already doomed. Obviously, a weakened version of the tree world advent cannot stop the high-pressure water gun. Water jutsu. The water-breaking wave. Seeing that Senju Tobirama's water jutsu suppressed the wood jutsu, the impure world Tobirama was unhappy. Even though he had lost his consciousness, he still subconsciously used the same jutsu when he saw others using water jutsu. He had no other intention, just wanted to see who had the more powerful water jutsu. HMPH, you overestimate your ability. Senju Tobirama snorted coldly. Then he cancelled the use of the water severance and used the Flying Thunder God technique instead. In the blink of an eye, he came to the back of the impure world second generation through the coordinates he had set during the battle. Water jutsu. Hard vortex water blade. Immediately, a water dart made of concentrated water attribute chakra formed in Tobirama's right hand and threw it directly at the impure world second generation. You idiot without consciousness, didn't you consider that I would use Flying Thunder God? That's right, if you don't have consciousness, you naturally won't think. Amid Senju Tobirama's complaints, the impure world second generation didn't have time to dodge and was successfully hit by the water dart, and his entire upper body was blown into pieces. If a normal person was shot like this, even the six-path sage would not be able to save him. However, the one who was hit was the impure world body. As the impure world Hashirama came to entangle Senju Tobirama, the impure world second generation was also slowly recovering. This is the characteristic brought by the impure world reincarnation. Unless there is a sealing team to cooperate with him now, even Senju Tobirama, the creator of this technique, cannot stop it. If he can't stop it, then he can't stop it. Anyway, the first and second generations of the impure world reincarnation are not a threat to Senju Tobirama. Calculated by his chakra, he can play with the opponent for a whole day. And with the existence of the Flying Thunder God technique, he can take the Third Hokage away from the scene at any time. The reason why he didn't do this is because he wanted to give the decision-making power of this battle to the Third Hokage. An old disciple is still a disciple. Through the light curtain, Senju Tobirama knew that his old disciple had always been brooding over the fact that he let Orochimaru escape. As long as the Third Hokage can deal with Orochimaru here, he can not only let go of his worries, but also end this war and become a hero of Konoha again. After that, Tobirama will let him abdicate with honor and live out his days in peace. It's time for the village in this space and time to welcome the next Hokage. Chapter 42. Uchiha Kagemai's advanced main scheme. Sharingan. The Sound Ninja and the Sand Ninja launched a full-scale attack on Konoha, and were bound to drag Konoha into the quagmire of war. Facing the invasion of foreign enemies, the Konoha ninjas behaved very organized and disciplined. The Genin and Chunin were responsible for guiding civilians to evade. The Junin and the Yambu were responsible for going to meet the enemy. With each doing their own job, the Konoha ninjas were only a little uncomfortable in the early stage. Not long after, when they adapted, neither the Sound Ninja nor the Sand Ninja had any advantage. If nothing unexpected happened, it would not take long for them to win this inexplicable war. But an accident happened. The Sand Ninjas began to attack the Konoha ninjas desperately. The reason for their doing so was also very simple. Many Sand Ninjas saw that the one fighting with the Third Hokage on the roof of the venue was not their Hokage, but Konoha's rebel ninja Orochimaru. At this moment, a very terrifying idea suddenly emerged in their hearts. That is, the fourth Hokage may have encountered an accident. Otherwise, it is impossible to explain why the fourth Hokage suddenly became Orochimaru. The current situation is very bad. With the possibility of the Hokage dying, they have offended Konoha village. How can they be good in the future? For the sake of their own village, these Sand Ninjas did not stop fighting, but became more fierce. Their thoughts were very simple. Since they had offended Konoha, they might as well take this opportunity to severely damage Konoha and win more benefits for the Sand Ninjas. Under the desperate fighting style of these Sand Ninjas, some local battlefields were really maintained by them. Outside the village, the Sound Ninjas who were responsible for summoning the giant pythons saw that the battle had begun to stalemate, so they began to summon several giant pythons to attack. The strength of these giant pythons is not very good, but they're really big in size. They can damage a large area of houses just by wandering around. At the same time, facing the joint attack of the summoned beasts and the sound ninjas, the gatekeepers at the gate of Konoha had a hard time dealing with it. They used all their tricks to prevent these giant pythons from entering the village. Once the entrance to the village was breached and the giant pythons were released, the loss of the village would be too great. Ninjutsu. Summoning technique. Overwhelming vendor technique. Fortunately, Jiraiya arrived in time, summoned Gumihiro, and killed a three-headed snake with one blow. You go support other places, leave this to me. Yes, Master Jiraiya. In front of Gumihiro, these giant pythons were no match for him. It wielded its two swords and chopped the giant pythons into several pieces in a few seconds. Jiraiya's side was even easier. Otogaku was a ninja village that Orochimaru founded after he defected from Konoha. A mere dozen years of development was not enough for any masters to emerge in Otogaku. Among the most famous Otogaku 5, only Kimimaro could fight. Moreover, this guy was tricked by Orochimaru from the Hidden Mist village. It can be said that except for Orochimaru, there was no one in the entire Otogaku who could fight Jiraiya. Even Kimimaro and the Red Lotus using Crystal Release could not do it. Facing these scumbags, Jiraiya did not hold back. He first used a Earth style, Yellow Spring Swamp, to restrict their movements. Then he used a Fire style, Flame Bomb, to burn all the scumbags trapped in the swamp. After finishing everything, Jiraiya turned his head and looked towards the tuning exam venue, and murmured with a little worry, "Old man, please don't be in trouble." After saying this, Jiraiya released Gumihiro's summons and prepared to rush to the Third Hokage. Huh? Are you Jiraiya? Before he ran a few steps, Jiraiya heard someone calling him. Turning his head, when he saw the appearance of the person calling him, he immediately opened his mouth and eyes wide. Old man? How did you become younger? That's right, the person he saw was Sarutobi Hiruzen, who traveled through time. Hectares, it's really you, Jiraiya. I thought I recognized the wrong person. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not answer Jiraiya's question, but came to him and looked at him carefully. Old man, what do you want to do? Sarutobi Hiruzen's look gave Jiraiya goosebumps and alerted him. Logically speaking, the Third Hokage is already 69 years old, and it is impossible for him to become younger under normal circumstances. Either this person is someone else pretending to be him, and they want to kill him when he is relaxed. Or he saw a ghost. Compared to seeing a ghost, he is more inclined to believe that this person is pretending. Didn't you hear this person say that he almost recognized himself wrong? Relax, I'm not pretending, but this matter is a bit complicated to explain. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't mind seeing Jiraiya's alert look, but greeted him. Since you were going to the tuning exam venue, let's go together, it will be easier to explain when we get there. Jiraiya agreed to Sarutobi Hiruzen's proposal. However, while on the way, he was still cautious and tried to test. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't indulge him this time. Facing the test, he just smiled and didn't say much. Anyway, if he confessed his origins now, Jiraiya would probably treat him as an idiot. It would be better to go to the roof of the venue and let the Third Hokage explain it to him in person. The battle in Konoha village was in full swing, and Uchiha Kagami was also furious. He learned from others that the Uchiha clan no longer existed in Konoha village. Such a big family was destroyed overnight by a traitor named Uchiha Itachi. Standing in the dilapidated clan land, Uchiha Kagami thought a lot. He thought of Uchiha Itachi, and the fact that the Third Hokage asked Itachi to be a spy on the Light Curtain, and then thought of Uchiha Fuku wanting to rebel. Then the matter is very clear. The destruction of the family must be related to the Third Hokage. Even though Uchiha Itachi has the main Kime Sharingan, the entire Uchiha clan has so many elite Jonins who are not vegetarians. Besides, if they can't win, can they just run away? Run to the village for support. Can a mere pair of mange Kims defeat the entire Konoha village? Uchiha Kagami's logic is very clear. When Itachi attacked the family, the village not only did not stand up to support, but also attacked. Only with the cooperation of the village, could the traitor Itachi destroy the entire family overnight without anyone noticing. Haha, you killed so many clan members, why did you only leave Uchiha Sasuke? So your brother's life is life, but the lives of other people in the clan are not lives, right? Ha 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 ha. Uchiha Kagami laughed crazily, and at the same time, the three magisma in his eyes kept spinning. When the laughter disappeared, the three magisma stopped spinning and merged into a pattern similar to Shuriken. Uchiha Kagami also had his own mange Kime Sharingan. Sound Ninja and Sound Ninja. Looking towards the center of the village, Uchiha Kagami sneered and began to move forward. He was very angry at this time. He wanted to kill someone. Chapter 43 Powerful Kaleidoscope Eye Technique. Tamamo Uchiha Kagami, who looked calm but was actually furious, began to walk towards the center of the village. Coincidentally, at a bend, he found several lone Naruto 9. There's someone here, hurry up, kill him. Go, all the ninjas of Konoha deserve to die. Before Uchiha Kagami could take any action, these Naruto 9 were the first to charge at him. Kagami sneered and quickly formed seals with both hands. Fire style. Great fireball technique. A huge fireball spewed out of Kagami's mouth and attacked the Naruto 9. These Naruto 9 seemed to have some strength. Facing Kagami's great fireball, one of them used earth style. Earth flow all to defend himself. As for why they didn't use water style, of course, it was because they were not strong enough. They couldn't use it in places without water. It seems that you are not simple soldiers. The great fireball did not work, and Kagami did not continue to attack. He wanted to kill these Naruto 9 to vent his anger. Silently opening the main Shikyo, Uchiha Kagami used his exclusive eye technique. Tamamo a tall sound ninja. Oh no, the person opposite seems to be from the Uchiha clan, and he has the Sharingan. Bullshit, the Uchiha clan has been exterminated. The entire family only has the murderer Uchiha Itachi and an orphan named Uchiha Sasuke, which is only 2 people in total. The person opposite is obviously not Uchiha Sasuke, so he is not from the Uchiha clan. What about his Sharingan? Are you stupid? Do you think that's his Sharingan? The Uchiha Sharingan is divided into 1 Magatama, 2 Magatama and 3 Magatama. Do you think the pattern on his eyes looks like Magatama? It's more like a Shuriken. Uchiha Kagami raised his eyebrows when he heard this, thinking that this person still has some knowledge, but not much. Is it possible that he is wearing cosmetic contact lenses? Mao's cosmetic contact lenses. The person who was speaking angrily hit the other person, and then hurriedly urged, hurry up and get him, we still have to go to other places to continue destroying. Okay. Just when these sound ninjas were about to attack Uchiha Kagami again, the tall sound ninja took the lead. Not to Uchiha Kagami, but to these sound ninjas. Stone, what are you doing? Stop, are you crazy? Asshole, I must tell Lord Orochimaru that you actually betrayed us. Stone's attack was unexpected. These people didn't expect that there was a traitor among them. Without the slightest defense, Stone killed 3 people in succession with just a kunai. The remaining 2 people also suffered some injuries, but it did not affect their actions. Rokuro, what should we do? What else can we do? Retreat. Seeing that the 2 are about to escape, Kagami, who had been watching the show, took action at this time. He did not use ninjutsu, but flashed in front of the 2 people who wanted to escape, holding a kunai in his hand and slashing at their necks. Jin's speed was too fast, so fast that the 2 sound ninjas had no time to react. When they reacted, one of them had already had his throat cut. Rokuro, run away. The man hugged Jin tightly, not letting him kill Rokuro. And Rokuro was also very obedient, and started to run out without looking back. Looking at the sound ninja who was already dead but still hugged him and let his companion escape, Jin said with a little regret, it's a pity that the person you want to protect will eventually die. After saying that, Jin calmly put the sound ninja on the ground, and took out some shuriken kunai from the ninja bag, without any aiming, and threw them at Rokuro's back. The sound of breaking there came from behind, and Rokuro also knew that the attack was coming. While running forward, he dodged left and right, trying to avoid this attack. But what he did was completely useless. Learn about Uchiha throwing techniques. Amidst the clanging sounds, the kunai and shuriken left the originally planned attack route and went straight to the back of Rokuro. This time Rokuro had no time to dodge and was shot into a sit by the kunai and shuriken. Who are you? Rokuro was not dead yet. He turned his head with difficulty and looked at the person who was approaching to kill him. Can you let me die with a clear mind? My name is Uchiha Kagami. Ha, so you are really from the Uchiha clan. After saying this, Rokuro's eyes dimmed. Kagami, I can't be a sound ninja anymore. The last sound ninja was the burly ninja named Stone in front of him. He came to Kagami with a smile on his face, and put his right hand on his shoulder, as if he had known Kagami for many years and was very familiar with him. If you can't be a ninja, then don't be one. It's no big deal. Hearing this, Shihito asked happily, are you saying that I can join Konoha and become a Konoha ninja? Jin shook his head and replied, that's not what I meant. Shihito looked at Jin in confusion. What about you? I mean, you can go die. After that, Jin raised his hand and touched Shihito's throat successfully. Why? Because dead people don't have to be ninjas. Shihito. Is that what I want to ask? I obviously want to ask you why you want to kill me, damn. Looking at Shihito's body, Jin shook his head and murmured, the eye technique of Tamamo seems to be quite useful. That's right, the reason why Shihito attacked his fellow sound ninja was because he was hit by Jin's main Kyo-eye technique, Tamamo. Twist the other party's will, make men become your good friends, and make women fall madly in love with me. This eye technique is really evil. But that's right, after all, I'm a member of the Uchiha clan, and it's normal for the eye technique to be a little evil. After using the eye technique once, Jin's feelings about Tamamo's move deepened a lot. He knew that being able to make Shihito rebel against the other party actually hit some luck. If these people had a deep relationship with Shihito, then even if Jin wanted him to betray, it would be impossible. Both parties are good friends, and it would be unreasonable to help either side. At most, it would be that neither side helped. At the time, Shihito made a move without hesitation, which obviously showed that he did not have a good relationship with these people, and he might even have a grudge. As for why Jin wanted to kill Shihito in the end, it was because Jin did not need him as a friend. The two were originally in a hostile relationship, so killing him was killing him. But no matter what, Tamamo's eye technique is really strong. It's just that you need to wait a month after using it once before you can use it again. Covering his swollen left eye, Jin took a deep breath and left with a steady step. It was not until a long time later that the Konoha and the ninjas came here and began to clean up the place and collect the bodies. I'm reading this book crazily and my mentality is a bit broken. Ladies and gentlemen, can you give me some recommendation votes to comfort me? Chapter 44. Pit. After going through many obstacles, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Jiraiya finally arrived at the roof of the viewing platform. What is this? Seeing two second-generation Hokage in the four purple flame formation, even Jiraiya couldn't help but widen his eyes. Can you explain it to me now? Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded and was about to explain to Jiraiya, but when he turned around, he saw three younger ninjas not far away, standing in front of the four purple flame formation and talking about something. The actions of the three people aroused his curiosity. He wanted to know, as Konoha's ninjas, not to protect civilians, not to annihilate the enemy, and sneaky together to talk about what. He waved his hand, signaling Jiraiya not to speak first, but he tiptoed behind that triangle and eavesdropped on their conversation. Summaries is worthy at being the strongest Hokage. He was suppressing Orochimaru, the S-rank rebel ninja, the whole time. Upon hearing this, a Nanbu wearing a white hat mask among the three could not help but reply. Then what about the Nadami-sama? He faced the attacks of the Stami and the Nadami alone, and he seemed to be at ease. Such strength is probably not even matched by the Sanmi-sama. Probably because he did not expect someone to disagree with him, the Yambu wearing a black hat mask said in a not-so-good tone. The Stami and Nadami summoned by Orochimaru were obviously greatly weakened in strength. They can't even deal with the weakened Stami and Nadami. How can they be the strongest Hokage? That's not right. Didn't the Nadami-sama beat the opponent to pieces many times? If it weren't for the characteristics of Orochimaru's forbidden technique, the opponent would have been completely killed by the Nadami-sama. The Yambu with the black hat mask was stunned for a moment when he heard this. It seemed that he also felt that compared to the third Hokage who suppressed Orochimaru, the second Hokage over there was a little stronger. But being refuted by the white cat mask on the spot, didn't the black cat have any face? I don't care, the third Hokage is the strongest. This tone was somewhat angry. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was eavesdropping behind them, was speechless. He thought the three were discussing how to rescue the third Hokage, but he didn't expect them to be chatting here. Sarutobi Hiruzen felt that he couldn't let these three people slack off anymore. Even if they were a little afraid of death because of their weak strength, they could still escort and protect the civilians. What's the point of standing here and chatting openly? Who are you? Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's cough, the three immediately stopped talking, and when they turned around, those who should take the sword took the sword, and those who should take the kunai took the kunai. You don't need to know who I am, you just need to know who he is. After saying that, Sarutobi Hiruzen pointed to Jiraiya who was not far away. And Jiraiya, hearing Hiruzen calling him, also walked over. Master Jiraiya. They didn't know the young man in front of them, but they knew Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas. Seeing Jiraiya come in, the three of them saluted quickly. You three can go somewhere else. I'll take care of this place. The only ninja wearing a dog head mask among the three Yanbu seemed a little hesitant. However, the two Yanbu wearing cat masks pulled him and turned to Jiraiya and said, "Yes, Master Jiraiya." The three Yanbu left, and Sarutobi Hiruzen had no worries. He whispered in Jiraiya's ear about his and Tobirama Senju's origins who were fighting inside. "What, you said you were from 40 years ago? If you want more people to know, you can shout louder." Why did Sarutobi Hiruzen hint to Jiraiya to let the three Yanbu leave? Wasn't it because he didn't want more people to know their origins? Just because Jiraiya shouted so loudly just now, if nothing else, the female Oto9 who was closest to them must have heard it. Sarutobi Hiruzen asked loudly to the female Oto9 who was not far from them. "Hey, did you hear what this idiot said just now?" The female Oto9, Taiya, turned her head and replied, "No." "If you didn't, why are you feeling guilty?" "I'm not feeling guilty." "If you're not feeling guilty, why are you turning your head away? Look at me." "No, you're too ugly." Sarutobi Hiruzen. Taiya's sharp words were like a sledgehammer, hitting Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart. No one has ever dared to say that Sarutobi Hiruzen is ugly since he grew up. "Very good woman, you have successfully attracted my attention." With a crooked smile, Sarutobi Hiruzen began to look at Taiya carefully. "Don't be in a hurry to look at women, you haven't explained it to me clearly yet. Jiraiya is worthy at being an LSP who is of the same lineage as the Third Hokage." When he saw Sarutobi Hiruzen's appearance, he knew that his thoughts must be impure now. Sarutobi Hiruzen pretended to cough with embarrassment, then his face changed and he asked seriously, "Ahem. Where were we talking just now? Now I believe that you are really my teacher. You look exactly the same, shameless." Jiraiya covered his face, a little bit unable to bear to look directly. "Traitor, don't think that you are older than me and stronger than me now, you can be so arrogant." "Hehe, there is no way you can be so arrogant if you have strength." "Jiraiya, don't force me." "Ha ha ha, even if I force you, so what? You are not my opponent now, even if I can't fight you, but can't I run away?" Sarutobi Hiruzen was furious when he heard this, turned around and shouted to Tobirama Senju in the four purple flame formation, "Teacher, your disciple bullied me." Damn it. Jiraiya didn't expect that the young version of the teacher in front of him would actually complain. And he complained to the second generation. He is really old and can see all kinds of scenes. In short, I have never seen such a thing. Hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's call, Senju Tobirama, who was fighting with the impure world first and second generations, came to the outside of the four purple flame formation with a swish sound. "What's wrong?" Nagami-sama, how did you get out from inside?" Jiraiya looked at Senju Tobirama who was walking towards them, feeling a little guilty. "It's very simple, because before I went in, I left the coordinates of Flying Thunder God outside." After replying to Jiraiya, Senju Tobirama looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen and asked, "If you have anything to say, please tell me quickly. If I don't go in quickly, I'm afraid that this old monkey will be beaten to death by 3 people. Seeing that Senju Tobirama was really called out by him, Sarutobi Hiruzen became embarrassed. Everyone is an adult, not a primary school student, and he still has to tell the teacher. "Nagami-sama, you should go in quickly to help the third generation. In just a short while, he has been beaten to vomit blood by the first generation." Following Jiraiya's words, Senju Tobirama and Sarutobi Hiruzen turned their heads to look at the place where the third generation Hokage was fighting. At this time, the third Hokage, as Jiraiya said, was perceived by the first Hokage, the second Hokage, and Orochimaru. Because he was concentrating on beating Orochimaru, he didn't notice that Senju Tobirama had already run outside the four purple flame formation. Without a target to attack, the first and second Hokage of the impure world reincarnation did not hesitate at all, and rushed to the third Hokage at full speed, catching him off guard. "What's going on?" The third Hokage was stunned at the moment after being knocked away by the first Hokage's old punch. It was not until he dodged the attack that he saw Senju Tobirama chatting with Jiraiya and his younger self outside. He realized that he was sold out by Tobirama. From ancient times to the present, only disciples sell out teachers, not teachers sell out disciples. I'm afraid that it's not because of Jiraiya that Tobirama will go out, right? Jiraiya. Teacher, you're really good at judging people. This journey of time travel will end tomorrow. Dear audiences, I don't ask for rewards, but a few free recommendation tickets. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novel, as there you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 45 Jiraiya, do you want to be a rebel ninja? When Senju Tobirama used the Flying Thunder God technique again to enter the fourth purple flame formation, it meant that the battle between the Third Hokage and Orochimaru was over. 8 trigrams seal modified. After entering the field, Senju Tobirama said nothing and used a modified version of the sealing technique towards Orochimaru's stomach. This sealing technique was specially improved by him based on the characteristics of the impure world reincarnation, in order to cut off the connection between the caster and the impure world body and let the impure world body's soul return to the underworld. Monkey, I'm sorry to trouble you. Who are you? The moment the connection was cut off, the consciousness of the impure world first and second generations also recovered. Looking at the Third Hokage with a swollen nose and a big mouth, the impure world first generation felt very sorry. However, the impure world second generation did not care much about the third generation, but looked at Senju Tobirama solemnly. Just think of me as your half-brother. Obviously, Senju Tobirama did not want to answer the other party's question, so he rarely played a naughty trick. Second generation. Ah? How come I didn't know that Tobirama has a half-brother? The first generation of the impure world reincarnation was shocked when they heard what Tobirama Senju said. Stupid brother, he is obviously playing tricks on us. Is that so? The speed of dissolving the impure world body is quite fast. When the first generation asked this question, the two impure world body had already disintegrated, and their souls returned to the underworld. Without the help of the first and second generations of the impure world reincarnation, Orochimaru was controlled by Tobirama Senju again, and the Sound Ninja and Sand Ninja could not cause any trouble. It can be said that Konoha village won a great victory in this battle. Lord Orochimaru. Seeing that Orochimaru had been defeated, Taiya and the other 4 Sound Ninjas also withdrew the 4th purple flame formation and wanted to rescue Orochimaru. Unfortunately, their strength was not enough. Before Tobirama Senju could take action, Jiraiya and Sarutobi Hiruzen on the side solved the 4 little ceramic. Of course, Jiraiya and Sarutobi Hiruzen were not murderers. They did not kill them, but knocked them all unconscious and handed them over to the Third Hokage to deal with later. Monkey, are you okay? The Third Hokage looked quite embarrassed at this time. He wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and replied, fortunately, I won't die. After that, the Third Hokage looked at Orochimaru lying on the ground with a complicated expression. Sealed by Senju Tobirama's sealing technique, Orochimaru couldn't move at all. Even if he wanted to use the snake-style substitution technique to escape, he couldn't. You old man, you won this time, but I have some questions to ask the second generation. Senju Tobirama heard this and said, ask your teacher if you have any questions later. We don't have much time. Yes. The 4 people of Senju Tobirama who traveled through time can only stay here for an hour. While there is still some time, Tobirama also has some questions to ask the Third Hokage. For example, such a big thing happened in the village, why didn't I see Danzo? Could it be that he died? And what about the ninjas of the Uchiha clan? Why didn't he show up? And where is his granddaughter Tsunade, is she dead or alive, etc. He has too many questions to ask the Third Hokage. Monkey damn monkey, what the hell did you do? Just when Senju Tobirama wanted to seize the time to ask the Third Hokage, Uchiha Kagami, who was full of anger, also came to the roof of the viewing platform. He didn't think too much, grabbed the collar of the Third Hokage and asked angrily, why was the Uchiha clan exterminated, and what role did you play in it? Uchiha Kagami's angry questioning shocked Sarutobi Hiruzen and Senju Tobirama. They were wondering why they didn't see any Uchiha clan ninjas on the battlefield. So their clan was exterminated. Then the question is, who has the ability to exterminate the Uchiha clan in the village? Just think about the logical relationship and you will understand that the Third Hokage must have played a not-so-glorious role in it. It's Jin, it's great to see you again. The Third Hokage did not answer Uchiha Jin's question, but instead reminisced about the days when Jin was still there. Such a look around and then talk about it completely angered Jin. What do you mean it's great to see you again? Didn't they just meet through the light curtain yesterday? You are fucking old, you have Alzheimer's disease, right? Stupid monkey, don't think I dare not kill you. Jin's eyes widened, from ordinary eyes to main Keem Sharingan, staring at the Third Hokage. Jin, you opened the main Keem. The Third Hokage seemed to have not heard Jin's threat, and was still surprised that the other party's Sharingan had advanced. Stupid monkey, you fucking die. At first, Senju Tobirama didn't care about Jin, and let him grab the collar of the Third Hokage and threaten him. After all, he also wanted to know why this old disciple in front of him wanted to destroy the Uchiha clan. Doesn't he know that the fighting power of the Uchiha clan is indispensable to the village? It was not until Uchiha Kagami really wanted to kill the third Hokage that he pulled Kagami away. Kagami, calm down. Yes, Master Kagami, the old man is still seriously injured. If you have anything to ask, you can wait until the old man recovers. At this time, Jiraiya also stood up and stood between Kagami and the third Hokage. If Kagami broke free from Senju Tobirama's restraints and wanted to attack the third Hokage, then the first person he would have to face was Jiraiya. We don't have much time. I believe Monkey will explain it to us clearly afterwards. Even if he doesn't say it, with the existence of the light curtain, we will naturally know when the time comes. It may be that Senju Tobirama's persuasion worked. The angry Uchiha Kagami gradually calmed down. Well, as I said just now, we don't have much time, so I won't say any more nonsense. Monkey, you should abdicate. You are no longer fit to lead the village forward. The third Hokage smiled bitterly and replied, I understand, Mr. Tobirama. I will pass the position to Jiraiya after my injury heals. The word pass is very essential, and Senju Tobirama frowned when he heard it. Isn't the position of Hokage obtained through election? When did it become designated by the previous Hokage? He thought about it and found that it seemed to start from him. Well, it's okay then. He was fine, but Jiraiya was. He shook his head and waved his hands to refuse, saying, I don't want to be Hokage. Besides, my personality is not suitable for being Hokage. And I have to go find that child of destiny. You should let Tsunade come back. She is more suitable for the position of Hokage than me. The child of destiny. Yes. Jiraiya nodded and continued, the great toad sage of Noboku Mountain said that the child of destiny who will bring changes to the ninja world will be my disciple. This is also one of the reasons why I haven't returned to the village for many years. As for other reasons for not returning to the village, those who understand will understand. So, Jiraiya, you want to be a rebel ninja? Jiraiya. Chapter 46 The Fifth Hokage. Jiraiya, seeking follow-up reading. The existence of the Toad Sage of Mount Mimboku was also known to Tobirama Senju. During the years when the Senju clan and the Uchiha clan were fighting, Mount Mimboku sent a toad to find their brothers, Hashira Tobirama, and wanted them to write down their names on the summoning scroll of Mount Mimboku. Faced with the toads that suddenly came to his door, Tobirama would not let them become his and his elder brother's summoning beasts before he knew the details. So during the investigation, he learned some things about the big toad sage. He knew that this toad had the ability to predict the future. To be honest, Tobirama at the time was very disgusted with the abilities of divination, fate, and prophecy. Anyway, fate has arranged everything, and the prophecy has accurately predicted their success. So do they still need to work hard? Just lie down. However, Tobirama Senju is not such a character. He does not believe in any prophecy. He only believes that man can conquer nature. Now seeing Jiraiya so firmly believe in the big toad, Tobirama is quite unhappy. Jiraiya, you want to be a traitor? What? Second generation master, don't joke around. Obviously, Jiraiya was frightened by Tobirama's words. Not only Jiraiya, but even the third generation Hokage said, Teacher, are you mistaken? How could Jiraiya want to be a traitor? Tobirama looked at the third generation Hokage and said, does Jiraiya often not return to the village? And doesn't he perform village tasks? The third generation Hokage was stunned for a moment, then nodded with difficulty and replied, that's right. A ninja who often does not return to the village and does not perform village tasks, do you dare to say that such a person is not a traitor? Looking at the strong Tobirama, the third generation Hokage and Jiraiya were speechless. If the rules of the village were really followed strictly, Jiraiya's behavior could indeed be considered a traitor. Yes, Jiraiya can definitely be considered a traitor. Orochimaru, who was lying on the ground, saw Jiraiya's painful look and laughed out loud. Adhering to the principle of watching the fun, Orochimaru affirmed Tobirama's words. Orochimaru, shut up. Jiraiya was already annoyed, and Orochimaru took the opportunity to make trouble for him. At this moment, he wanted to slap Orochimaru twice to make him understand what he could say and what he couldn't say. Second generation master, why don't you let Tsunade come back to be the fifth generation Hokage? She is more suitable than me. Tsunade. Seeing Tobirama's thoughtful look, Jiraiya continued to strike while the iron was hot. Yes, whether from her own background or strength and personality, she is the most suitable one. After hearing what Jiraiya said, Tobirama did think that Tsunade was also a good candidate. But he knew his granddaughter. If nothing particularly disappointed her, she would not leave the village. It would be very difficult to get her to come back and become Hokage. In addition, he also knew that his granddaughter had the same hobbies as his eldest brother. I won't ask how difficult it is to find Tsunade. I will just ask one thing. Are you ready for her to leave the village? That's right, Tsunade's hobby is gambling, and she always loses. Except for winning against her elder brother Senju Hashirama when they were young, he has never seen Tsunade win again. After thinking about it, Tobirama decided that it would be better not to take such a big risk. Monkey, you don't want the village to be lost to Tsunade, do you? It's decided, let Jiraiya become the 5th Hokage. Then Tsunade, don't consider her. After making the decision, Tobirama looked at Jiraiya again and said sternly, if you dare to run, I will let Monkey announce that you have become a traitor to Konoha. Don't you want to find a child of destiny outside? Then you might as well not come back to the village. But second generation, the child of destiny is really very important. Important as. Tobirama didn't give Jiraiya any face at all, and angrily scolded. What qualifications does that big toad have to ask the ninjas of Konoha village to help him find that child of destiny? Let me ask you, is that illusory child of destiny more important, or is the village more important? This Jiraiya was also embarrassed. Because he felt that the big toad sage would never lie to him. It said that this child of destiny would bring changes to the ninja world, and it would definitely be as it said. And he, Jiraiya, needs to find this person as soon as possible and guide him to grow in a good direction. Compared to the safety of the entire ninja world, the village's affairs naturally had to be put aside. Of course, he didn't dare to say this in front of the second Hokage, otherwise he would have to be beaten. Trust me, Jiraiya, instead of searching aimlessly, it's better to stay in the village. Maybe the child of destiny you are looking for will appear by himself. How is that possible? Jiraiya didn't really believe what Tobirama said. He had been looking for the child of destiny for so many years and couldn't find it. How could he suddenly appear? You can ask your teacher for details. After saying that, Tobirama turned his head and looked at the third Hokage, and continued. You should understand what I mean. The third Hokage nodded, I understand. Hearing the conversation between the two, Orochimaru, who was lying on the ground, had an idea. He remembered the light curtain that Tobirama had just mentioned. Could it be that this light curtain not only allowed them to appear here, but also helped find people? Orochimaru was already full of interest in this so-called light curtain. If he hadn't been sealed and unable to move, he would have been shaking his tongue. At this moment, a soft light curtain emanated from the bodies of Tobirama, Hiruzen, and Kagami. Tobirama knew that their time was up. Well, we should go back to. Remember, Monkey, if Jiraiya dares to run away, he will be made a traitor. For the sake of the village, this is not the time to be soft-hearted. After saying this, Tobirama, Hiruzen, and Kagami disappeared from the eyes of the third Hokage and others. Old man, what is going on? Without Tobirama's presence, Jiraiya breathed a sigh of relief, and his tone became casual. I will tell you when you officially become the 5th Hokage. Okay. The matter was done, and Jiraiya could only agree reluctantly. He knew the third Hokage, and if he really dared to run away and not be the 5th Hokage, then the old man would really dare to list him as a traitor. With the second Hokage backing him up, he could really do it. What about Orochimaru? What are you going to do with him? Orochimaru. The third Hokage looked at Orochimaru with a complicated expression and sighed, saying, just put him in prison first. Orochimaru didn't care about the punishment he was going to receive. With the old man and the idiot Jiraiya around, he would not die no matter what. Even if he died, he had a backup plan to revive. Orochimaru, you won't run away, right? The three people present knew that the prison in the village could not hold Orochimaru. Don't worry, I won't run away. Just kidding, he wouldn't run away before he figured out what the light curtain was. Okay Jiraiya, send Orochimaru and these people to prison together. What about you, old man? Me? Of course I'll go home to rest and heal my injuries. Okay, then you go back and rest first. Neither of them was worried about the current battle situation, because the Konoha ninjas had been suppressing the sound and sand ninjas. I believe that in a while, this war will be completely over. Jiraiya's career as a Hokage is about to begin. Jiraiya. I really don't want to be a Hokage. Chapter 47. Mirror's thoughts, seeking follow-up reading. When Senju, Tobirama and others successfully returned to the office, exactly 1 hour had passed. Tobirama felt that the experience of this hour was not perfect. At least he did not say a few words to Orochimaru. He did not see his granddaughter 40 years later. Fortunately, the life of the third Hokage was saved, and Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas, was appointed as the fifth Hokage. Although it was not perfect, he was generally satisfied. Sarutobi Hiruzen had similar ideas to Senju Tobirama. A mirror was not enough for him to fully browse Konoha, and with the existence of foreign enemies, he only looked at a very small area of Konoha. It must be said that the residents of Konoha 40 years later lived a good life. The skin of those ladies was really white, which made him feast his eyes. As for Shigeru Danzo, he could not tell anything from his expressionless face. After this guy passed by, he did not know where he ran to, and even his figure was not seen in the rooftop battle. It was just vaguely felt that he seemed a little dissatisfied. Speaking of dissatisfaction, among the four, Uchiha Kagami was the most dissatisfied, and even the most angry. Their Uchiha clan was gone just like that. And it was gone with the support of the village. How could he not be angry? If it weren't for Senju Tobirama and Jiraiya stopping him at the time, he would have beaten up the third Hokage no matter what. Kagami, don't let anger erode your heart, the Uchiha clan still needs you. Tobirama is indeed the person who knows the Uchiha clan best. He calmed Kagami down with just one sentence. Teacher is right. From the third Hokage's words, Kagami knew that he probably died very early. With his death, the family no longer had him to deal with it, and the third Hokage did not learn the essence of Tobirama's governance of the village, which led to more and more people in the family becoming dissatisfied with the village, and finally being destroyed by the village. It's different here. Tobirama teacher didn't die, and he didn't die either. The idiot third Hokage can't take the position, and the family has its own existence here, so the Uchiha clan will definitely not suffer the fate of extermination like over there. In order not to follow the old path, he might have to be tougher when facing some radicals in the family. With the existence of the main Sharingan, he is now the strongest in the family. If anyone dares to make trouble, he will be killed directly. Teacher, you're back. The three people outside the door, Kaharu Tatain, heard the voices in the office and opened the door quickly. Well, thank you for your hard work. It's just guarding the door, it's not hard. The three entered the office, and Akimichi Tofu noticed that the atmosphere seemed a little wrong. However, he did not ask more questions, but stood quietly aside, without even taking out potato chips to wheat. Okay, you guys go do what you should do, I have to handle official business. Yes, teacher. Okay, teacher, we will leave now. 5 of the 6 disciples left, leaving only Uchiha Kagami. Kagami, do you have anything else to say? Yes, teacher, after I advanced to the main Sharingan, I obtained 2 exclusive eye techniques. Hearing this, Tobirama waved his hand to stop Kagami from continuing. Kagami, this is your exclusive eye technique. It would be bad if you told me. Tobirama did think so. If he really wanted to know what Kagami's main eye technique was, he would not let him leave, but asked directly. Even husband and wife have their own privacy, not to mention master and apprentice. Kagami was frank with him, and Tobirama was very satisfied with this attitude, but there was really no need to tell him about powerful ninjutsu like secret techniques and blood inheritance. Kagami understood what Tobirama meant, but he also had his own ideas. He knew what it meant for the members of the 3 tribes Avino, Deer and Chu, and for himself and Hiruzen to be sent as bodyguards. With the help of the eye technique Tamamo, he would definitely be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. Teacher, the main eye technique awakened in my left eye is called Tamamo. It can change a person's will and feelings, make men become my good friends, and make women fall in love with me. Is that so? What do you think? I'm thinking about whether to use it on the daimyo in a month. In this way, I will become a good friend of the daimyo, which will be of great help to your plan, teacher. Tobirama pondered for a long time without speaking. The method Kagami said was indeed very tempting to him. With the full cooperation of the daimyo, the members of the 3 families Avino, Deer and Chu can also learn faster and save a lot of time. But in the end he shook his head and denied Jin's idea. First of all, the main eye technique is not foolproof. The ninja world is so big and there are so many masters. It is unknown when someone will notice that the daimyo's will has been modified. Besides, a politician like the daimyo has no close friends. He treats you as a friend, but it is nothing more than not infringing on his interests. Once his interests are damaged, such a person can sell you out in minutes. Friend. Isn't it just to be sold out? This is also the shortcoming of Tamamo's eye technique. Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, aren't they good friends? But for the village and for the ideals, didn't the 2 finally fight a life and death battle? Summaries technique is very strong, but it is not so strong that it cannot be solved. Secondly, Senju Tobirama has a good relationship with the daimyo. After all, Tsunade calls him grandpa and the two were in-laws. Tobirama couldn't use such a despicable method to deal with his relatives. Kagami, the power of the Mangekyo is very strong, but you have to understand one thing. You have to control this power, not become a slave to it. Tobirama could see that Kagami's current state was a little wrong. In the past, Kagami would not use this method of controlling others to achieve his goals. It is conceivable how much the annihilation of the Uchiha clan had stimulated him. I understand, teacher. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye it was afternoon. Senju Tobirama finally met the young Orochimaru in the office. Hello, Second Hokage. The young Orochimaru was still very polite. When he saw Tobirama, he bowed and greeted him. Hello, Orochimaru, here, this is a gift for you. As he said that, Tobirama took out a scroll from the drawer and handed it to Orochimaru. Orochimaru looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen. Take it. This is a kind gift from the Hokage. Hearing what Sarutobi Hiruzen said, Orochimaru accepted the gift. Seeing that Orochimaru had no intention of opening the scroll on the spot, Hiruzen turned to Tobirama and asked, Teacher, what did you give Orochimaru? Want to know? Open it yourself. That's not good. Heh, I don't know yet. Sarutobi Hiruzen smiled and said to Orochimaru, why don't you open it and satisfy your teacher's curiosity? Orochimaru nodded obediently and opened the scroll in his hand. Looking at what was written on the scroll, Orochimaru and Sarutobi Hiruzen widened their eyes at the same time. This is, don't make such a fuss, it's just some experimental data of ninjutsu. That's right, the gift that Tobirama gave Orochimaru was some data when he was creating ninjutsu, especially for big ninjutsu. Thank you for the gift, Hokage. I like it very much. Orochimaru, who already had a goal in life, was very happy. He hugged the scroll tightly as if he had found a treasure, as if he was afraid that someone would snatch it from him. This gesture made Tobirama very satisfied. Chapter 48 The third extra video. After handing the scroll to Orochimaru, Tobirama chatted with him for a while, and then let Hiruzen take him away. Because Kagami wanted to help Tobirama find the secret technique that made Madara fake his death, Hiruzen went to the capital first the next day. That is, 3 days after Hiruzen left the village, Kagami finally found a secret technique called Izanagi in an ancient book. This secret technique is one of the ultimate eye techniques unique to the Uchiha clan. When it is activated, it can turn things that are unfavorable to oneself within a period of time into nothing, and can also choose only things that are beneficial to oneself to become reality. After this technique is activated, one of the Sharingan will become blind. After hearing Kagami's description of Izanagi, Tobirama pieced together all the details of Madara's fake death. What on earth is this guy Madara trying to do? After knowing that Uchiha Madara faked his death, Tobirama has been thinking about what this guy is going to do. When he returned to the village from outside, he inexplicably had a fight with his eldest brother and died at his eldest brother's hands. With the existence of Izanagi, he is naturally not dead. So, why did he want to fight this? Is he trying to prove that he is stronger than his elder brother? Thinking of this, Tobirama shook his head. In his opinion, Madara is not such a superficial person. He must have his own purpose for coming back. So, his purpose is to fight with his elder brother. There are still too few clues. Tobirama had a headache thinking about it. No matter how smart he is, it is impossible to deduce Madara's ultimate purpose through such a few clues. Fortunately, I have the light curtain. Through the light curtain, I will definitely know what Madara wants to do. Tobirama was not in a hurry. Uchiha Madara is not dead. He has not appeared in the ninja world for so many years, so he might as well treat him as dead and don't have to work hard to find him. Why look for him? Let him come back to be the third generation Hokage. The days after that were uneventful. Tobirama would take some time out every day to chat with Orochimaru and answer his questions by the way. Of course, during the days when Hiruzen was not in the village, he would also be responsible for teaching Tsunade and Jiraiya. Especially Jiraiya. After meeting Jiraiya 40 years later, Tobirama was also trying his best to correct his naive side. Lest he be sold out by the big toad in the future and have to count money for the other party. In this way, time quickly came to the time when Lin Tian posted the extra video. In the evening, Tobirama's office welcomed new viewers. That is, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru. Hiruzen and Kagami did not come back. After all, it was just an extra video, and it was not worth asking for leave from the daimyo. It would not be too late for them to ask for leave and come back after the official inventory video in half a month. By then, they can know the content of this extra video from their friends. Second Grandpa, why did you ask us to come here? Tsunade has a lively personality, and the people in the office are all acquaintances, so she doesn't feel restrained at all. You'll know in a while. TSK mysterious. Tsunade did not get an answer from Tobirama, and sat down angrily. Orochimaru, do you know why the second grandfather asked us to come? Orochimaru shook his head. He also didn't know why the second Hokage asked them to come. However, he saw Uchiha Madara and others here, and knew that there must be something important, otherwise the disciples of the second Hokage would not be here at the same time. Tsunade, you should be quiet. Didn't you see that the seniors didn't say anything? Jiraiya, you dare to control me? I think you were itching for trouble. Jiraiya shrank his head. He was still very afraid of Tsunade's fist. But it was not Jiraiya's style to retreat like this. He still said stubbornly, "Violent girl, let's see how you can get married in the future." Jiraiya. Tsunade heard this, turned around and roared at him, and at the same time she grabbed Jiraiya's collar, and it seemed that she wanted to punch him. Coincidentally, when Tsunade wanted to beat Jiraiya, the time came to 8 o'clock. The light curtain emitting soft white light appeared on the desk very punctually. Second Grandpa, what is this? The appearance of the light curtain attracted the attention of everyone present. Tsunade in the last row did not care about Jiraiya's offense and stared at the light curtain. Let's take a look first. We'll talk about the light curtain problem later. The same problem happened in the office of the third Hokage in Konoha in the 61st year. Well, now it's a bit inaccurate to say the third Hokage, it should be the office of the fifth Hokage Jiraiya. Don't you want to know what the light curtain is? You will understand after you finish looking at it. In the office, in addition to the third Hokage and the fifth Jiraiya, Orochimaru was also there. That's right, Orochimaru is no longer a rebel ninja of Konoha. Just kidding, the previous Hokage was his teacher, and the current Hokage was his good friend. Who would not be afraid of death and dare to stand up and say that he is a rebel ninja? In addition, when Itachi and Kizan came to the village, he also contributed to the fight and repelled the other party, so no one dared to question his identity anymore. As a result, the treatment of Tama, Kitamura, Seikon, and Jirobo was also much better. Of course, Orochimaru cannot appear in the village openly at present. After all, people's words are scary. Those villagers with poor brains don't care so much. They only know that Orochimaru attracted the Sound Ninja and the Sand Ninja and launched an attack on the village. In order to allow Orochimaru to walk around the village normally, Jiraiya also has the idea of merging the Sound Village into Konoha. Once successful, Orochimaru will be a ninja sent out by Konoha to perform S-level secret missions, not a rebel ninja. He can also wander around the village openly. At the same time, after the merger of the Sound Village, Konoha's strength will be greatly strengthened. Apart from anything else, Kabuto Yakushi is a rare medical talent. In the absence of Tsunade returning to the village, the addition of Kabuto Yakushi can greatly enhance the village's medical technology. With Konoha's resources, Kimimura may be able to survive for a few more years. Hi, I'm the new Lin Tian. Today's video is still an extra episode. In addition to our generous second Hokage Tobirama who sent gifts again, there are new viewers who also sent gifts this time. Let's see which master gave the gift. On the screen, Lin Tian picked up a small package. When he saw that the sender was the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, his expression was very strange. Well, you have also seen the signature of this master, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Next time, I will probably receive a gift signed by the fourth Hokage named Case Mineta. Haha, just kidding. Thank you for the pipe sent by Hiruzen, even though I don't smoke. Okay, without further ado, Master Tobirama has a new problem this time, let's see what it is. This time it is still written in Japanese, but I have translated it. The general meaning is how to solve the compatibility problem between the soul and the body. Well, what I want to say is that this seems to be the problem that Orochimaru wants to solve. The side effects of his undead transformation are not small. Second generation Hokage, you seem to be off the stage. At this time, after seeing the problem of the second generation Senju Tobirama and Lin Tian saying the 4 words undead transformation, Orochimaru's long tongue was licking the corner of his mouth frantically. This fully shows how excited he is at this time. MD Orochimaru, you are too disgusting, stay away from me. Orochimaru. I won't. Chapter 49 Cloning. We all know that Orochimaru's reincarnation is not perfect. Every time he reincarnates, his soul will be damaged. Why is this so? Isn't it because the body and soul are not compatible, which hurts the soul? Then the question is, how can we get a body that completely matches our own soul? Seeing this, Tobirama Senju in Konoha's 21st year and Orochimaru in Konoha's 61st year suddenly focused. Lin Tian in the picture did not keep the suspense and said directly, "I think we can try cloning technology." What is cloning? Cloning refers to the asexual reproduction of organisms through somatic cells, and the offspring individuals with exactly the same genotype formed by asexual reproduction. Because the genes are exactly the same as their own, I think they should not reject their own souls, right? Of course, in modern society, using cloning technology is illegal. However, in the ninja world, where life is less valuable than a dog and the law is not yet sound, there are not so many restrictions. In fact, in Boruto, Orochimaru used his own genes and some other excellent genes to create Mitsuki. At this time, the screen showed a picture of Mitsuki at a very appropriate time. Jiraiya got Amy. Pale skin, amber eyes, this person is just like you, Orochimaru. Orochimaru ignored Jiraiya's complaints, but looked thoughtful. Since the person on the screen said that he would successfully create this child in the Boruto era, although he didn't know the exact time, he felt that with his current ability, he was confident that he could use his own cells to create a body that perfectly matched his soul. The many experiments done with Hashirama cells were not done in vain. Senju Tobirama also thought of this. Since Orochimaru 40 years later can use his elder brother's cells to create a Yamato, then using his own cells to create another self should be no problem, right? It seems that I have to go there every month. Of course, Senju Tobirama would not completely pin his hopes on Orochimaru 40 years later. His research ability is also very strong. With the direction given by Lin Tian this time, he believed that as long as he had enough time, he could also create himself. It was just to save time, and both parties could benefit each other. If it really succeeds, it would be terrible. Yes. Senju Tobirama has already foreseen the scene of the powerful ninjas on the Konoha side being immortal. In a way, it is really terrible. Mitsuki was originally created as a container for Orochimaru. But after a period of getting along, Orochimaru developed feelings for the child and gradually treated him as a normal person. And in order to let him make friends and let him live a life different from his own, he also put Mitsuki in the Konoha ninja school. After graduating from the ninja school, he became a member of the same class with Uzumaki Boruto and Uchiha Tsunade, and the instructor was Sarutobi Konohamaru. This is the protagonist team. The former is the son of Uzumaki Naruto, the latter is the daughter of Uchiha Sasuke, and Sarutobi Konohamaru is the grandson of the Third Hokage and Naruto's younger brother. Mitsuki has the weakest background in this team. The son of Orochimaru, one of the three ninjas, really has no face at all. Orochimaru, this person said you have no face. The fifth generation Jiraiya patted Orochimaru on the back and laughed wildly. Idiot. Orochimaru didn't care and said sarcastically, "Don't forget, he is talking about Orochimaru, one of the three ninjas. Aren't you Jiraiya one of the three ninjas? I don't have a face, do you think you have a face?" Jiraiya's smile stopped abruptly. Thinking about it, what Orochimaru said was not wrong. This made him feel very uncomfortable. Uzumaki Naruto? Hectares, isn't that the nine-tailed brat I accepted as my disciple some time ago? Also, who is the Uchiha Sasuke? Jiraiya knew Sarutobi Konohamaru, after all, Atian said that he was the grandson of the Third Hokage. He also knew Uzumaki Naruto, because the old man asked him to accept him as a disciple after he returned to the village, but he didn't know Naruto's past and life experience, and only guessed from his surname. As for Uchiha Sasuke, Jiraiya had no idea at all. At this time, the Third Hokage looked at Jiraiya with a slightly complicated expression and said, "Take this opportunity to tell you about Naruto's life experience. In fact, Naruto is the son of Minato and Kushina, and Sasuke is the son of Fuku and Mukotao. He also has a brother named Uchiha Itachi. He is the son of Minato and Kushina." Jiraiya's expression was very melancholy and embarrassed. As the son of his favorite disciple, he had never even seen him once. The reason why he accepted Uzumaki Naruto at the time was because of the old man's request and his status as the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Even though the name Naruto was the same as the name of the protagonist in a novel he wrote many years ago, he never thought of the identity of the fourth Hokage. At this moment, he somewhat understood why the second Hokage couldn't stand his behavior and insisted that he be the fifth Hokage. This is a responsibility that he can't escape just by wanting to. But, isn't this relationship a bit confusing? Naruto is his disciple, and his father Minato is also his disciple. What should he call Minato when he sees him in the future? Call him dad? Or call him senior brother? The more he thought about it, the more speechless he became, so Jiraiya had to change the subject. Old man, was Naruto's childhood okay? Originally, Jiraiya thought that Naruto had the identity of the fourth Hokage and was the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, so his life must not be too bad. Unexpectedly, the real situation was very different from what he thought. Well, now it was the third Hokage's turn to be embarrassed. He knew very well whether Naruto had a good childhood. He wanted to go out to buy things, but no one would sell them to him. He wanted to play with other kids, but no one would play with him. He didn't eat well, and he didn't wear good clothes. The reason for this situation was that Danzo spread rumors in the village that Naruto was a demon fox, and wanted to take Naruto into the root and make him a killing machine for the root. That's right, this was all Danzo's fault, and it had nothing to do with me, the third Hokage. Okay. Seeing the third Hokage's embarrassed expression, Jiraiya didn't ask any more questions. He already knew the answer from the other party's expression, and continuing to ask would only hurt the feelings of both parties. Compared to Jiraiya's concern for Naruto, Orochimaru cares more about Sasuke. After all, during the Chunin exam, he planted a Heaven's Curse seal on Sasuke, wanting to use his body as a container for his next reincarnation. Now looking at what was said on the light screen, not only did he fail, but Sasuke's status in Konoha village was even higher than his. This is very interesting. Just a small Uchiha orphan, but his status was higher than his in the end. Orochimaru was very interested in exploring the truth contained in it. He decided that after the merger of Utogakure and Konoha, when he could appear in the village with a light curtain, he would take Sasuke as his disciple and keep him by his side. Orochimaru, who had been pointed out a clear path by Lin Tian, was no longer interested in Sasuke's body. He wanted to witness his growth step by step and see how he could surpass himself. Okay, that's it for this episode of the extra video. Don't think that this episode's video is watery. Actually, it's really watery. But I have no choice. I don't understand high-end technology like cloning. Instead of talking nonsense to waste time, it's better to answer Mr. Tobirama's questions and leave. That's it for this episode. I'm the new Tian. See you in the next episode. Thanks to the Reader King Chu moment for the 300 coins reward. Thank you. Thank you. Chapter 50 The impact of the extra video. Although this episode's extra video is very short, it has a great impact. With the full cooperation of Orochimaru, the merger of Konoha village and Sound village went smoothly. With the support of the 5th generation Jiraiya and the 3rd generation Hokage, opposition like Danzo could not make any waves and was strongly suppressed by the 2 Hokage. The 5th generation Jiraiya is not the 3rd generation Hokage. He does not have the slightest affection for Danzo. Now is not the past. In the past, the 5th generation Jiraiya had no way to deal with Danzo. After all, this guy was protected by the 3rd generation Hokage. Now it is different. He is the 5th generation Hokage. In terms of status and position, Danzo is his subordinate. Emotionally speaking, it is not easy for the 3rd generation Hokage who has stepped down to protect him. Otherwise, Jiraiya will complain to the 2nd generation Hokage, Senju Tobirama, and he, the 3rd generation Hokage, will be in trouble. So, this matter went very smoothly. When the 5th generation Jiraiya and the 3rd generation Hokage were at the Hokage platform, in front of many ninjas and villagers, they explained that Orochimaru's defection was actually to carry out a covered mission for the village. This mission was successfully completed and he returned, and his identity as a traitor was completely cleared. How could ordinary villagers know so much? They were short-sighted and had little wisdom, and they would only follow that crowd. Seeing that the 2 Hokage were standing up for Orochimaru, it was natural that they said what they said. Besides, the return of Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas, was a good thing anyway. As for him leading the Sand Ninja to attack Konoha, it was probably because the village knew the Sand Ninja's wolfish ambitions and deliberately let Orochimaru on the other side. Didn't you see that the village didn't suffer any losses this time? At most, some houses, fields and other real estate were damaged, and not even one resident died. It was clear at a glance that the village had planned it in advance. Otherwise, there would be deaths in war. Don't you think so? The villagers are easy to fool, but the ninjas, especially the senior ninjas, are not easy to fool. Especially Kakashi and Mitarashi Anko, who knew some inside information. They didn't believe that Orochimaru was carrying out a mission outside the village. But they were powerless. The 5th generation Jiraiya and the 3rd generation Hokage were both supporting Orochimaru. In addition, the village did not suffer much loss in the defensive battle. There were also talents such as Kabuto Yakashi, Kimimura, Uzumaki Karin, Chiko, Shizuki Suigetsu, and Gazan who joined the village. They really couldn't have any objections. Even Anko, who hated Orochimaru the most, didn't jump out to make trouble, but looked at Orochimaru with a complicated face. After this incident, Orochimaru could finally walk in Konoha village with a clear conscience. People who knew him would greet him. Orochimaru hasn't felt this feeling for a long time. Sasuke-kun, long time no see. In the evening of that day, Orochimaru met Sasuke on the way Sasuke had to take to go home. It's you, Orochimaru. Seeing Orochimaru, Sasuke did not relax his vigilance because of the village's whitewashing of him, and he quietly observed the surroundings, ready to run away at any time. Sasuke-kun, don't be so vigilant, I didn't come here to hurt you this time. Tell me your purpose. Sasuke did not put down the kunai, and still looked at the other party with a serious face. I just want to ask you, do you want to be my disciple? Huh? A big question mark appeared on his little head. Sasuke never thought that Orochimaru actually wanted to accept him as a disciple. He didn't believe in such a good thing as pie in the sky, and continued to ask, what is your purpose? Orochimaru licked his lips and said, there are some reasons I can't tell you, but I really want to accept you as a disciple, and I don't have any bad thoughts. I need to think about it. No problem, you have plenty of time to think about this matter. If you have thought it over, you can come to the 20 laboratory in the east of the village to find me. Okay. Then it's settled. Orochimaru sneaked into the underground and left, leaving Sasuke with a frown. He didn't know what Orochimaru was crazy about, he only knew that this was an opportunity to become stronger. When chasing Gaara, Sasuke used the lightning ninjutsu Chidori to injure Gaara and turned him into a tailed beast. After the tailed beast, Gaara was no longer something Sasuke could deal with. On the one hand, his chakra had run out and he couldn't use powerful ninjutsu. On the other hand, he also lacked the strength to deal with large enemies. In this situation, Naruto, who had always been regarded as the last one, summoned the big toad boss Bunter, who was the same size as Shikaku, defeated Gaara and saved him and Sakura. He was very grateful to Naruto, but he also hated his weakness. He was so weak that even Naruto couldn't beat him, so how could he kill Uchiha Itachi? Thinking of Uchiha Itachi appearing in the village some time ago, if Orochimaru and Jiraiya hadn't arrived, he would probably have been killed by this guy who was called his brother but was actually a beast. He never wanted to experience that feeling of powerlessness again. Become Orochimaru's disciple? Not impossible. At this moment, Sasuke had already made a decision. He had already learned Kakashi's signature ninjutsu Chidori, and he wouldn't learn anything from Kakashi. He might as well try his best and choose to trust Orochimaru. Presumably, Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas, would not let him down. Senju Tobirama was very busy. After learning about the method of cloning, he went straight into the laboratory to do experiments. Don't get me wrong, Tobirama was not so eager for quick success and used human experiments from the beginning. He first used a special white mouse for the experiment. It only took him 5 days to successfully clone a white mouse embryo. When there was no problem with the white mouse, he would clone other animals. For example, puppies and kittens. He would choose to clone humans only after he thought the technology was mature. Compared with the grown-up Orochimaru, he still hit some bottom line in doing things. In order to prevent Orochimaru from becoming a person without bottom line, he always brought Orochimaru with him to teach him. Even when he was doing the experiment, he did not shy away from it, but took the opportunity to give him some correct guidance. Hokage-sama, do you want immortality? After watching the light screen and seeing Tobirama successfully clone a little white mouse, Orochimaru couldn't help but ask what he was thinking. Eternal life. Tobirama shook his head. To be honest, I don't want immortality. Then what are you doing? Orochimaru was a little confused. Isn't the purpose of studying cloning technology to clone a body with one's own genes so that one can be reborn into this body and achieve the goal of immortality? If I say that the reason I study cloning is to protect Konoha, do you believe it? Hokage-sama, I believe everything you say. Ha ha, good boy. Touching Orochimaru's head, Tobirama smiled happily. In order to distinguish between the young and adult Orochimaru in the future, the young Orochimaru was renamed Little Orochimaru. The same goes for Tsunade, Little Tsunade and Big Tsunade. Jiraiya is Little Jiraiya and 5th Jiraiya. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.